Final match. Cure. Maru. GSL Finals.
We are finally here at the GSL Code S Finals. It's been like 14 years of GSL. We're still going. We're down here at Jamshil, the Jamshil studio, and it has been a wild season. Terran dominance. We finally thinned that number out to the two best Terrans in the region. Maru versus Cure is our finals tonight. Our first player coming out, Cure, the only player to defeat his opponent in this tournament that he's going up against in this finals. He has shown massive improvement, really developed his own style, but make no mistake, he is the underdog in this best of 7.
Quietly one of the best Terran players in the world. We'll see if he can go up against Maru here. David versus Goliath.
A lot on the line here if he can win this. A lot of people did not expect him to get this far, but here he is now, one best of 7 away from taking the whole thing. Now his opponent. His opponent, Maru, a player who needs little introduction. He has won 5 GSL Code S's. If he can win tonight, it'll be his 6th. It'll be history in the making. Clearly the favorite moving forward here, despite at times him saying that he feels like Terran vs. Terran has been his weakest matchup. He's here now in the finals, one Terran vs. Terran away from breaking a new world record.
5 GSL pins on his shirt already. Looking at a 6th and yet another trophy.
All right, we're going to have our interview now with our two players. Castor Park here on the stage. He says these are the top 2 Terrans here now with me on the final stage. Let's speak to them now. First, Cure. You're here offline. This isn't an online event anymore. And you're facing Maru. You've seen how he's performed in the past, as well as today. Do you have confidence? Can you beat him? I'll say this, I'm not nervous. I feel almost like I'm back at home playing. I think this is doable. Maru has a huge record, but Maru has also been in the finals many times and has failed to win a GSL. How would you evaluate Maru before he got to this finals? I watched the semifinals match. It looks like runner-up material to me. Maru, you heard that. He's saying this to a guy who achieved the G5L. But he said, your performance is just runner-up level. You end up being the runner-up again this time. You'll have 5 championship titles, but you'll also have another, it would be 5-4 for runner-up titles. Excuse me. Well, I don't really feel any pressure anyways. 5-4 is also a fun number. You said to JYP, The semifinals matchup wasn't fun to watch. He said, no, that's not true. I did watch it. Well, was it fun or not? It was fun because of Beyond. What about Cure? I don't care about his play style. Kaspar goes, oh! You heard that, Cure? Not impressed with your performance? What do you say to that?
저 정도면 올라가도 괜찮겠다 이 생각을 좀 많이 하면서 좀 쉬고 있었던 것 같아요.
와, 그래요. 자, 그러면
I thought Bunny looked
오늘 무대에서
pretty good,
조성주 선수의 어떤 퍼포먼스를
but I don't
보여줄
think that was
것인지
Bunny's
자신감에
best
대해서 말씀해
performance.
주신다면요?
So I don't think it's a real measurement of where where Bunny was at.
힘이 많이 없어요.
아! 결승
Any
훈련
words
중!
as we head into this?
징크스가 된 것 같아요.
네.
So because it's the finals, maybe my confidence has decreased a little bit.
진짜 그거
Hopefully this won't be a curse for me.
제가 하는 어느 선수는 일곱
But since
번
it's the
동안
finals, I'll do my
선수가
best.
있어요.
제가 그 선수를 언급하면은
네.
준우승을 할 것 같아서
오.
안 하겠습니다.
알겠습니다. 그래서 이 준우승
There's a player I know who's had 7 runner-ups.
김동 선수도
Uh,
말씀 부탁드리겠습니다.
If I mention his name, I might end up with 7 runner-ups myself. And you, Kier, anything you want to say?
우승하도록 하겠습니다.
I think in the
이제 두
finals,
선수의 대결, 이
if I could beat
무대에서
Maru,
지금 결승전 대결이 기다리고 있습니다. 과연 누가 GSL의
I think it's going to be a
우승
big
챔피언이
moment in my life. I'm going to do my
될지
best to take this
결승전
whole thing.
대결을
All right, Kaspar says we're ready to get this started. This is season 1 of the GSL Codas Finals. Terran versus Terran. Our semifinals was 4 Terrans total. We haven't had that in 12 years of GSL. An unusual season this time around. Let's see what happens as we have Cure versus Maru in this best of 7 to decide who is the greatest player in the oldest esports tournament in the world.
You know, it took years for Maru to get that 5th GSL trophy after his 4th one. We'll see if it takes him years to get the 6th one, man. But the way that I'm seeing him play today, Maru's looking really strong here. Cure had some good games against Byum, but remember, those first couple of matches looked a little bit shaky. Maru solid from start to finish.
Yeah, you know, I thought Maru would have a closer series against Bunny. Maru looked very on top of the mid-game into the late game, which I feel like is probably the most important part of the matchup. Cure, his defense, we should say, versus Byun was extremely solid. He did look to be very healthy. I think he did look better than Bunny, if I'm going to be honest. But again, you'd be a fool not to think that Maru is the favorite coming forward here.
Yeah, Maru's just been playing out of his mind. He looked rock solid all the way through the round of 16, the round of 8, and now here in the quarterfinals. Moving on to the grand finals. I mean, long time ago, he was the undisputed best TBT player in the world, not just the best Terran player. I feel like that's becoming more and more true again. With performances like this one, we truly will crown the best TBT player in the world today.
That's right. Let's not forget, Cure actually did beat Maru in this tournament. It wasn't in an elimination portion. It was at the group section. He was the only player to do that. So, I mean, that's a big feat in of itself, but a best of 7 is such a different thing than a best of 3.
And Maru has so much experience in best of 7s, perhaps more than anybody else in StarCraft 2 his history at this point. I mean, he's been in so many GSL finals. He's been in World finals. Hasn't yet been crowned World Champion, but you feel that it's all but inevitable for a player of his skill level. And I mean, Maru, just the way that he's able to plan for a series, not just a best of 3, but a best of 5, a best of 7, I feel like that experience is going to pay dividends coming into this grand final.
I got to point out, as you were mentioning, he did not win the World Championship. He left Katowice in a pretty shocking defeat. A really historic moment in StarCraft 2. Oliviera actually comes out on top. I think Maru had to go back to the drawing board, and in some ways, this was basically the ideal GSL for him to recover in that matchup. We had an abnormally large amount of Terrans in this season, and it stayed like that all the way up to the round of 4, obviously here in the finals with 2 Terrans as well. But Maru, you know, he wins here tonight, and he has broken that curse. Of course, Cure taking this would be one of the biggest GSL upsets of all time. We have to remember that Maru has won 5 GSLs, which means he has surpassed everybody, every GSL player. I mean, he has truly risen to the top. Now the question is, how much further can he go? But we've had crazy upsets in the past with GSL. It could happen here tonight. where Kira, a player many people just probably weren't even thinking about in the Final Four, could steal the whole show.
I made it all the way here to the top 2. Grand finalist Kira up against Maru. Set number 1 will be played on altitude. Best of 7 here. As we kick off the GSL finals, man, I cannot wait to get started. I want to see what these players have cooked up, what they've got stored for us here in this best of 7. What are their plans? What are they going to do?
We're going to do a deep dive into this matchup. Who truly knows it the best? This is Kira versus Maru, game 1 in a best of 7 here in the GSL Code S finals. Let's go.
Club NV, Cure. Onside Gaming, Maru.
So much support from the fans here for Maru.
Yeah, tickets sold out here at the studio. For those of you at home, this is a huge, huge studio we've got here.
Yeah.
This is considerably bigger than the one we normally cast out. So thanks again to Africa TV for hooking us up with this.
TL.
Where'd you get those
Congratulations,
jackets?
buddy.
Was that the? That said, he said he brought his wife for his honeymoon here. Welcome. Where does he get the jackets? Does he mean the pro jackets? Does he mean the jackets we're wearing?
I didn't see that part, actually.
That was another
no.
sign that said that. Those
Well-
jackets come from the wardrobe room.
Those aren't our jackets.
Is that an exciting story or what?
Well, so we have Cure here in game 1 going for Command Center first tasteless against Maru
Yeah.
here on ESL altitude.
It's a bold build to open up in the finals with, but I think there's a lot of brilliance here. I think whenever you do Command Center first in a best of 7, you're delaying more of your ordinary play from even contaminating the ecosystem of the other player's ability to evaluate you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's a bit of like a poker game. You don't really want to show too much. You don't
Yeah.
want to have any tells. You want your opponent to be in the dark, not knowing what you're planning.
Exactly. And so, many times winning a best of 7 is about farming out information in each of the games and identifying ticks in their play style or the fact that they may, like we saw earlier with Cure versus Byun, right? Like we started to see Byun just really wants to proxy more than he wants to play a normal game in, right? But I think going Command Center first, it kind of erases that because, you're probably not going to use it again after this game, or maybe you're crazy and you do, and if he does, we'll get to that. But he opens up with this, and Maru's going to come in here immediately with the Reaper. He's going to see what's happening, and we're going to see if he has any way to punish or exploit this.
Yeah, Marine coming down here to the natural will be able to, oh, nice grenade there for Maru, actually. I thought for a moment that SCV was going to be able to work its way back up into the main base, but instead deflected back down to its death. It's a nice pickup there for Maru as he mitigates a little bit of the economic advantage here from this CC first opening. And Kira showing a lot of respect. Doesn't know if this is a 2-racks opening, doesn't know exactly how safe he has to play, does not want to be caught off guard, so he has a number of SCVs pulled here to the front.
This is working out pretty nicely. When you consider the fact that, with just one Reaper, you're getting this much value. He is going to delay this slightly. Obviously, you're going to continue to be making workers non-stop here on both sides. It looks like that orbital is going to be finishing up over here for Maru. And the game continues to chug along.
A Cyclone coming out for Cure. Meanwhile, Maru back at home actually opting for a Widow Mine. In addition to these handful of Marines and a Medevac coming out as well, so potentially some early Widow Mine harassment. Something we haven't seen too much from Maru so far in this GSL. Really his bread and butter has just been this Siege Tank, 4 Marines, and a Medevac play, opening things up more often than not. So also Maru kind of mixing it up a little bit here with his opening. We'll see exactly where he decides to go with this one. Looks like it will be towards the main base.
So this is a little bit of a different opening than we've seen from Maru. He's always tried to do something with the first Medevac. I don't think I have casted a 6 Marine Widow Mine drop here. Oftentimes he likes the tanks and the 4 Marines, at least for the early part of this year. The question is, where is he going to go, and how much can he actually get done?
Behind it, Maru throwing down the 3rd command center back at home. Both players now building Ravens, and that Reaper confirms that much of Cure's forces are holding down the ramp there at that natural expansion, so Reaper going to jump into the main base. Cyclone, distracted for a moment, does identify the correct target and locks onto the medevac. Widowmine will burrow. Keep in mind there is a Raven on the field. Auto turrets dropped. Widowmine takes out a Mule, but besides that, this attack from Maru quite well dispatched. That medevac will survive for now, but you think a Viking coming out, it's all but inevitable.
How strange. Just such an odd drop, right? I mean, I guess, I don't know about you, State, but the unit composition of the drop is kind of curious to me. We know that Ravens are pretty typical for any ordinary game, so I wonder why the Widowmine drop and then 6 Marines. He did do some damage with it, sure, but not very much. And now the Raven's going to come in.
Yeah, Raven coming in. For a moment, I was wondering whether this might try to set up for that medevac to escape.
Same.
All the way over here on the left side, but for now just seems happy to hold down in that corner. Very low HP. And third orbital coming in now for Maru.
Yeah, Maru definitely the first to aggress here, the first to kind of get in the hair of Cure and see if he can't, you know, kind of trip up his play a little bit. But behind us, we have Stim started. Stim is fairly even on both sides. I'm bringing that up because Maru has a lot of times really started to be very active on the map post-Stim in TVT. He seems to be more able to do damage and take these very, very delicate fights than pretty much any other Terran in Korea.
We only caught a glimpse of it, but Maru already throwing down double engineering bays. You know, the main storyline for him throughout a lot of this tournament in terms of TVT was how proactive he's been with his upgrades and creating large windows of timing where he's able to exploit that upgrade advantage. And once again, seems like he might have that, you know, coming up his way. +1 infantry weapons and armor, almost halfway done now with Cure just very far behind.
Cure has done this in the other TVTs we casted of him here in the semifinals. He's very quick to get out on the map with the first 2 sets of medevacs. Maru's going to do the same thing, but no matter what, that's going to start to be a factor in this game a little bit later on. Now, does Maru have a tank sieged up in his main? He does. He has that typical defense, the turrets, the Marines, to basically make this undesirable. And it seems like, you know, in last year and the year before that, we had a lot more 2-base engages that seemed to come down to some pretty tricky drops into the main. Seems like everybody's almost like preemptively defending against that. So he's going to put that out and drop it down and basically treat those Marines like they're Zerglings or something that could counterattack if a push comes out later. Now, inside of the main here for Cure, I don't see a tank, or at least I see one now, but it was not sieged up. It's not in that defensive formation, and Ravens are coming in here as well.
Got 2 Ravens coming in. Stim comes through here for Maru. Infantry weapons and armor completed. No disables coming in on the tanks. Instead, just auto turrets drop down. Armor shredding missile will connect with all these Marines, and that's going to be Maru's cue to get up out of this main base as both players trading Raven energy there. Maru getting a little bit of damage done.
That was pretty good. I mean, it's not every day, or honestly even every GSL season I cast a barracks being killed in a drop, but that's actually a pretty big deal. He takes that out. He doesn't really suffer any losses. Oh my God.
Dangerous situation
That was
there.
So good. I was about to say, like, oh, well, this makes sense. Then I see he's completely ready for that. He's got to be careful, too, because this can end up getting stuck in this location.
Yeah, Vikings now in production for Maru, so he might try to clean those medevacs out as best he can, as there is a missile turret in position here to intercept these medevacs. One of them will take a lot of damage coming in. Siege tank behind the command center, shelling these Marines. And Cyclone also will get taken out, so a little bit of a blunder there in terms of control here from Cure. These medevacs very low on HP, eventually will get cleaned up. And the 3 Marines coming from the Widowmine drop actually drop down in the natural expansion, pick off a ton of SCVs.
I mean, this damage is really starting to pile up. We're not even really into the, you know, the part of the game where this much action should have even taken place, but effectively, Cure's been shut down at every pass. And while, you know, the numbers on the screen at the bottom can look pretty even, it can be very, very misleading for where they're at, because in a little bit we should start to see Maru catapult ahead in supply and probably be able to create some more opportunities in this game.
Yeah, we would think so. Another drop coming in from Maru. These 4 Marines just not only getting idle time, but 4 additional SCVs as Cure just continues to get his economy disrupted. And that's going to give Maru the breathing room to move across the middle of the map. But Kier's getting ready to meet him, Tasteless. Kier not ready for this engagement. A little bit of a slow reaction there. He's going to lift the tanks and the medevacs, barely escaping destruction there. And Maru just continues to stem forward, gets the center tower, backs off back home, setting up for yet another drop.
Maru is just on fire right now. He is everywhere. Almost getting that medevac with the 2 tanks in it. Thank God for Kier's sake, he didn't lose that just yet. But right now, he is snaking around the map. He is looking for any opportunities he can get to do some additional damage.
Maru maneuvering now towards the southern Zelnaga tower. Going to see if he can find some angle over here towards the natural expansion of Kier. +2 infantry weapons and armor about to complete now for Maru. He should have a sizable window. Those upgrades only about 2/3 done now for Kier, so marine upgrades certainly favoring Maru at this point. And medevac drop, oh, a big one.
Now,
4 medevacs. Oh, you don't want to go in there though.
Kier is very much ready for that. A good positional play there by Kier. Maru runs into that, and he's basically put himself behind for this entire game. Maru is now maxed out. Kier is going to come out here and try to intercept this. It looks like this will actually go pretty nicely. He'll be able to get this. He tries once more to come in with those medevacs. Meanwhile, a push is out over here at the top. He's going to set up a small position over here, and I got to say, this is looking pretty good.
Yeah, this will eventually get cleaned up there by Maru, but it sets up for this attack over here on this left side. Maru coming in with more Marines and siege tanks, pushing back Kier as we're going a little bit tit for tat here. And Maru, once again in the natural expansion, coming in with yet another drop.
And he's doing all this while taking a 4th base. He's basically using his offense as the best possible defense. It's just hard to kind of catch up to him here. He scans. Is he going to actually move in here? I think it would be an overextension if he did. He did bleed off a couple extra units, probably unnecessarily. But these drops, I mean, State, we're just seeing so much damage come out here.
And you can see how taxing this is on Kier's multitasking. He has not yet saturated that 4th base. It hasn't been morphed into a planetary or an orbital command, as Maru just continuously stays very active on the map. And here we go, Disable's coming in. 3 siege tanks already disabled at the front line, but a nice arc here for Kier on the Marines at the high ground is going to push back Maru for now. A favorable trade here for Kier despite some nice disables on those siege tanks.
Yeah, he kills a lot of tanks back there. Maru dropping in supply for a little bit. This position may in fact be perhaps too flimsy. We should note that 6 o'clock for Kier has not actually been used yet. There's no, oh sorry, there's some SCVs yet there. But again, he's a little bit behind on actually soaking up the resources from that spot. Maru almost trying to force the position here. I'm not clear on if this is actually going to work. It seems like there should just be enough tanks for the blow to trade out here in Kier's favor.
It seems the trade for the siege tanks quite even now as Kier actually sprinting forward. Gonna see if he can snipe one of them, but does not want to test his luck too much there. Does pull back, and another command center now getting built at 12 o'clock here for Maru as he continues to rove around the map, moving now towards the natural expansion yet again. Nice siege tank line here for Maru, but he strays a little bit too far from it there on the south side, and now a big counterattack from Kier.
Kier comes in, there's nothing to defend right now. All the SCVs are gonna be picked off here. The tanks siege up, but the command center is gonna be gunned down.
In total, 20 SCVs going down. The CC will fall. The supplies even up now. Maru going to see if he could try and find some angle over here on the triangle 3rd, and it seems like he will. Finally maneuvering into position. This drop in the main base of Maru should eventually get cleaned up. Some medevacs getting focus fire. Now a big drop here in the main base, Tasteless.
I almost missed this. This drop coming in here now is actually huge. He is gonna force Kier to come back and chase this back out, but that may weaken the position of the command center. We have tanks now shelling the CC. More tanks on the side. Suddenly Maru, like a boa constrictor, is beginning to crush Kier positionally.
Yeah, Kier continuing to try to keep the pressure on. This is the main orbital lifted over here to the 3rd base. It will be able to be repaired now. But this 3rd base here for Kier, it's been under constant siege, and the drop is going to come in on top of these siege tanks. They are unguarded, so those 2 should be dispatched quite easily here by Kier. But the siege continuing down on this triangle 3rd, that orbital in a lot of trouble.
I mean, I'm getting a little bit worried here. Both these guys have lost quite a bit. It seems like functionally Maru barely has a little bit more, but we have this huge counterattack that's coming out, and I don't know what exactly is ready to intercept this. I mean, it's possible that everything that Maru has is kind of on screen here now.
Cure coming in on 2 different angles, trying to set up a flank. Maru with the quick reactions, they're going to pick up the siege tanks and boost Stim away, trying to maneuver to a better position. We'll siege at the bottom of this ramp. Nice control there by Maru.
That was so good.
If he lost that force, it could have been game over, but instead he lives on to fight another day, and now Cure continuing to press the attack, moving towards the natural expansion of Maru, but Maru is going back to the third.
He's going to hit both the third, and he's going to hit 6 o'clock as well. I don't know what that means for his main, though.
I don't think there's a lot of army back at home to defend. As you see him retreating back into the main base, and Cure wants to get on top of the production. He's coming up the ramp. There's only one siege tank here on the left side, one more by where the orbital used to be, but these Marines are so low. They're taking so much damage from the siege tanks. Reinforcements come back in, and Maru might be able to clean this up.
He's got a siege tank in the main here. If he can just get up and get these 2 tanks, it's going to be huge.
Yeah, in the meantime, Maru continuing to siege down the triangle third base there for Cure, as Cure bleeding a lot of army supply here in the main base. 2 more medevacs and a ton of Marines going down, as Maru now has a 30 army supply lead. This orbital lifting up once again. Cure really starved for resources right now, basically harvesting off a base and a half, as Maru has these 2 uncontested bases at the 12 o'clock.
Oh, big mistake here.
Oh.
Yeah, it looks like Cure was absolutely 1,000% ready for that. And that's going to really soften that position. But to what you were saying earlier, State, I mean, I think at this point in time, it's just a matter of fact that Maru is drinking up more resources on the map. He just has more bases, and we can watch these fights, but if we don't count the expansions, we're not getting the true story, and that's that Maru just has a better income, and therefore should be able to continue to shoot up in supply.
Yeah, but with Maru now, or Cure, excuse me, resaturating that third base, his economy should begin to catch up. And a rare lapse in defense here for Cure, as he was not in position to stop Maru from getting set up here on this ramp. That orbital command, or planetary, excuse me, taking a ton of damage right now. SCV is scrambling to repair it. Cure, this is his only full mining base with 60 mineral patches. He's gonna try and come in to defend it. Might have bitten off a little bit more than he can chew, but instead, no, it's gonna be Maru pulling off here. Pretty even trade. He's going to converge these forces right in the middle of the map.
He's so good. He's going to reconfigure again and come in here. Cure is barely hanging on right now. Is Maru actually overextending here? There's so many tanks down here. The position is pretty good. In fact, the tanks are going to remain covered. The Liberator going to help out here as well.
Yeah, bit of an overextension there for Maru. Cure had the perfect surround there on the top of the ramp. This beautiful arc of not only the Liberator, but the siege tanks and the Marines, deflecting that push from Maru. But behind this, Maru with a worker lead and a base advantage, which Cure has no idea about, continuing to compound. And although Maru, for the past couple of minutes, he might have been bleeding out slightly more resources, his economy is that much better that it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Another tank falls here. Did Maru overextend a little bit? It seems like Cure is able to lash back out on the map. I'm seeing over at 9 o'clock, command center's about to land. It was taken from the main. And you know, Maru, this aggression, sometimes it is a double-edged sword. He might have overextended a couple minutes ago, and now Cure going to try to come back in here and push. It's going to be on Maru on the defense for the time being.
And with Maru only having 1 Viking on the field, it's going to be difficult for him to actually deflect these Liberators. Okay, Marines stem forward. Does cost a lot of lives, but they are able to take that Liberator out. That will allow him to get his siege tanks into a better defensive position here at the top of this third base. It's a scary position here. The siege tank count massively in favor of Cure right now, especially here at the triangle third for Maru. And you see this arc getting set up for Cure, and you have to wonder how Maru exactly is going to break it. 10 siege tanks to 5 right now, and Cure's going to try and breach forward.
I mean, he's coming in, but there's enough tanks in the back. But I think Cure might be able to just refill this with the Marines he's got. In fact, I think Maru making a wise decision is going to abandon this. Now Cure, perhaps in the expansion lead, you know, that one overstep there from Maru, the one where it looked like he was going to get 6 o'clock, then he picked up the Marines, then he regrouped and came back. Oh my God.
Oh, it's a big drop coming into the main base. Does get deflected there by Maru as Cure does not want to risk everything on it.
He might have actually been able to get in there. There wasn't that much as far as infantry goes, but there's nothing down here now at that triangle third.
No, just a handful of siege tanks. Orbital's going to get taken out very quickly by these +3 Marines. Continuing to stem forward, they do not care about the siege tanks, but perhaps they should with 2 more by the natural expansion. They will have to retreat, just 5 of them surviving. These players going back and forth so much. Taysa so active on the map.
It's crazy. I think that Kier might actually have this. I think in the next couple of minutes, he might be able to close this out. We've seen Maru overextend just 2 times. Kier a little bit better on the defense, a little bit more balanced in play.
Yeah, and now Kier being able to split off this 11 o'clock position is going to be disastrous here for Maru if he's not able to defend it. Kier did not realize that command center was there until this one moment, so Maru going to try and sprint forward and put up a defensive position, but look at how many siege tanks we have here on the low ground. It's 12 tanks for Kier to 3 tanks for Maru. All these SCVs are forfeit. This command center is forfeit. And now suddenly Maru, who was able to propel his army forward by having a superior economy for the past couple of minutes, is on the back foot. He's down to 4 mining bases, and it's Kier who's in a better position.
And Kier with, I think, a better game sense this time around. He realizes, okay, I've killed off that base. I'm in the lead. I need to run back down here and meet this small attack that's headed southbound. If he can just destroy this, I think there's not going to be any more opportunities left here for Maru.
Yeah, Maru running out of steam right now. Down 50% in army supply, 126 to 84 as Kier is on the hunt trying to chase down these Marines. There's no facet of the game right now where Maru has an advantage except workers. He's down in Marines, down in siege tanks, down in medevacs. He has no Vikings to the Viking count of Kier. So he's gonna have to try and give Kier the runaround, buy himself some time to build forces up back at home. But Kier, he's so good. He's already on point of the defense here at this 9 o'clock base. Will get pushed back for now, but buying himself a lot of time in this massive army marching towards Kier, Maru's triangle third.
All right, he's going to try to take that command center out here. What is actually here to defend? He's going to lift the CC up, only to move that out as well. In fact, I think these Marines are just going to kill it off. Meanwhile, Kier just kind of uses his scraps to clean this up. And I think we're almost to the end here. You know, a game that I think Maru was winning for most of. Kier has basically done an incredible job of staying alive. What Maru's trying to do is cause enough distraction on the other side of the map that maybe Kier will come back and defend it. And so far, it seems like it's working. This is Maru on, nope, that's going to be it. GG, Kier takes game 1.
Yeah, Maru made a valiant effort of surviving there to the last man, but man, what a way to start game 1 of this best of 7 series, the first GSL Code S Finals of 2023. Kier versus Maru. Kier taking game number 1 in dramatic fashion. One of the most action-packed, if not the most action-packed TVT we've had so far in GSL. I mean, that was just a superb game this season.
It's really something to be blown away by. I mean, Kier basically going mano-mano there with Maru. And Maru, when it looked like he was, you know, he was kind of in the lead for, I think, a good maybe 7-8 minute stretch. And Kier was basically just barely defending, but then Maru started to overextend. And here's, you know who never overextended in that game? Kier. Kier played a really solid TVT back there. And he was really cautious. He didn't try to force it. He didn't try to base trade it. He just took his time. He let Maru overextend over and over. And here we are, the underdog ahead, 1-0.
Yeah, Kier was just immaculate defense. Didn't move out too much on the map to attack Maru, but whenever he did, it almost always created value, whereas Maru, despite that economic lead throughout the mid-game, just kind of tried to manpower his way through, tried to pummel the defenses of Kier, but Kier did not let up. Kier now up 1-0. Dragon Scales is going to be map number 2, Tasteless.
Let's see what happens. Can Maru even this out 1-1, or is Kier going to start to run away with this best of 7, taking that lead? Maru, if he wins this GSL Finals, he will be the 6th SL or the 6th GSL Championship for him. Kier, the underdog, it would be a huge upset if he wins. Go right to the trophy, look out!
Club NV, Cure. On-site Gaming, Maru.
Man, I really needed a breather out of that last game, but Maru with this early SCV on the map, not sure I'm gonna get it, Tasteless.
Okay, here we go.
So far, this strategy has not really been working today for any of our Terran players. Maru, he went for this build earlier today.
Uruguay, excellent. Welcome,
Uruguay,
guys.
wow. It's a long distance to travel. Thank you for coming down. But Maru, he overextended a little bit last time he tried this strategy, and oh, Cure, he's trying to scout for this. His spider senses are tingling. For a moment there, I think the SCV was actually aiming down towards the barracks, but he thought better of it, decided to come over here on the left side. Will he come back up this ramp towards the GSL logo?
Oh, he's gonna find it.
Yeah, he's gonna see it. All right, T-Rex gets spotted here.
Now, it's important to note there's no way he can deny that. If you get there right away, you might be able to attack the SCV and basically make the whole thing a nightmare.
Yeah, but you would have to send the SCV so early to actually
Yeah.
stop it from producing that barracks.
And so, Reapers are coming out. And you're right, State. We actually haven't seen this strategy work yet. It's been nothing but this strategy failing. Beyond tried it twice. And, you know, to no great success. Maru tried this and actually lost his Reapers right away.
Yeah, both Reapers, and actually getting a little bit of flashback of Beyond's games earlier. There's a proxy factory now coming through for Maru in the middle of the map. These two Reapers now pushing up the middle. There's one Reaper and one Marine in position to defend. A Hellion gets started on the factory. Some nice damage coming in on these SCVs. None getting taken out just yet, though.
We want to watch that Reaper count very carefully. If he can keep all the Reapers alive, the chances of the rush overpowering the other player are very good. Let's not forget, we saw Cure actually hold this rush earlier. This has been Cure's big test today, is not dying to this build order. And so far, he's undefeated with it.
Right, Reactor now coming in on the barracks. As production continues here for Cure, 4 Reapers pushing up the ramp, but it's very difficult to make that push, especially against a Hellion now.
But just like we didn't see Beyond really pull this strategy off, I want to see exactly how Maru does it. I wouldn't be surprised if the strategy came from Maru and not from Beyond. But yeah, I want to see exactly the idea for how this is supposed to end the game, because this is a crazy rush. I mean, everything besides one of the barracks is actually outside the main.
Yeah, 6 Reapers in total now going to come up the ramp, and that means that these Hellions are not going to be able to get a nice AoE damage shot on them. SCV's getting pulled. Oh, big shot by the Hellion and Reapers. 5 SCVs already getting taken down. Oh, these grenades are so good, just perma-stunning these Hellions. 7 SCVs in total falling, and 4 of the Reapers are going to escape with their lives.
I mean, that's such a massive lead. There's a Viking that's going to come out that's going to counter the Banshee.
Cloak Banshee coming out, though. It's going to have Cloak Tasteless, so there is an opportunity, there is a world where Cure is able to find some big counter damage here with a Cloak Banshee on Maru's side of the map, because this Viking is probably going to be staying here at the front. Question is, will Cure send that Banshee around the peripheral of the map straight away?
Look
or
at how this is timed out. He sends the barracks in. This is the barracks from the main. He sends this into spot for the tank.
All right, the Banshee's going to stay home. CJ getting in position, should be able to shell these add-ons. Oh, this is really painful here for Cure. The reactor is going to go down.
You should see that it's going to be Banshees with Cloak. He's going to start to fire. Does he have a scan banked up?
You have to think that he's saving one, if not now, then very soon, especially with another command center coming down in the natural expansion. Maru is expanding behind this. Cure's still on 1 command center.
There's nothing to heal these Marines either, so like any damage they take is huge. Banshee's Cloak is 5 seconds out. We've got 2 Vikings here. The add-on is dead, or destroyed.
Yeah, only 1 siege tank on the field, or will be on the field here for Cure.
Oh!
Barely gonna get away is that Banshee. Oh, this factory is so close to getting taken out. Oh, he doesn't get the siege tank, he had to lift. Wait, did it pop?
I didn't see.
I actually didn't see because of the player cameras. I think it actually might have finished. I think the player cameras might have been obscuring it. Yeah, that was a really scary moment there.
Where is it?
It's there in the mineral line. Okay. Oh, I was scared for a moment there, Tasteless.
Well, it was really low.
Yeah, that was about as close as you could possibly cut it. This Banshee now continuing to try to make work happen. Back at home, Maru did go for an engineering bay. This Banshee does get cleaned up. So there should be a turret back in the mineral lines of Maru. Yep, right there in the main mineral line. There is a second orbital produced here for Maru as well, so he should have scans in abundance here to defend.
That's a crazy rush, by the way.
This has been
the way
a
that's
crazy
set up,
game.
This has just been like a totally different game. And I'm glad we're finally getting to see like the full scope of what the rush is intended to do.
Banshee now coming into the main base. That turret, although it's able to defend most of the mineral line, cannot protect the geysers. It cannot protect these barracks. So Maru, watch out for those minerals to start to float a little bit because he is slowing down on his production just a bit.
Well, you know, here's the thing. I mean, he does kill that off. He's still got his Vikings. Another Banshee's going to come. These Banshees can, like, buy time, and maybe you get a natural setup. Ideally, he'd want to push that infrastructure as well. But it's possible that Maru just has, like, a little bit more to work with as far as the units he's developed this game.
Yeah, another Banshee going to come in. Should be able to pick off a couple of SCVs before he gets taken out here by the Raven and Vikings. And yeah, we're just going to sack it. We'll get 4, maybe 5. Does get the 5th SCV. So 31 workers now to the 24 for Cure. Cure desperately needed to try and close that gap a little bit. But although the factory and the starport have lifted and gone back home, keep in mind that Maru was able to produce 2 Ravens out of that starport. So they're going to be building energy this entire time. And Cure only just now throwing down that natural CC. It's only about halfway done. And this is starting to remind me a little bit about the game that he played against Beyond, where yes, he was able to defend the early aggression,
this is
but
so funny.
Oh,
all these
man.
damaged SCVs now just get killed off a lot more easily later on. It's just,
yeah.
If you don't have a medevac that healed those at some point in time, not that that's like the way to play, but you know, it's like any damage that happened is basically permanent. So Stim's on the way. Did we get Stim for Cure? This is such a weird game.
I'm not actually sure if we got it. I assume that we have it because nothing's being researched right now,
Yeah,
but this could be some insanely crazy situation. I mean, keep in mind he lost so many SCVs early.
Yeah.
And I almost feel like he's got to go all in with this. 22, 23 SCVs
Well,
now.
he
to
might be
42.
trying to get in there before the Stim is done as well on that side. By the way, the counterattack is really good because this is just really slowing everything down. I don't blame him
But
for
the
trying to go back.
Vikings, Vikings are actually MVPs right here. My goodness.
Thing is, with this many Vikings, a bunker, and Ravens, I feel like you can kind of disarm anything that comes towards you.
Yeah, he's going to have disables. I think there's a slight Viking edge, if I'm not mistaken, here for Cure. It's 3-3 Vikings right now, but Cure certainly does have more back at home. Keep in mind those 2 landed Vikings now joining the fray here. Maru sees those and backs off, and I'm a little concerned for Cure's position. He's not producing SCVs constantly right now. He's actually taking another gas, but just watching that production tab, he's skimping a lot on his eco, missing a lot of production cycles on his command centers because he's just so broke right now. And he's trying to make something happen with this group of units. Middle of the map, and no way,
That's
Maru.
a lot of Vikings.
Are you really going for a counterattack with this? This is crazy.
Well, I guess the truth is the SCV count is so low. How much is actually coming out of there? Also, you could just kind of buy time with this, right?
Wow, this is a genius play coming out of Maru. That's so many Vikings, so many auto turrets. I don't think Cure can really defend this. I don't know exactly what the setup is at home, but this is a very scary situation, and Cure's aware of it now. All these Vikings landing auto turret as well as the mineral line getting dispatched, and Cure's going to see if he can try and breach into the natural expansion here for Maru. More turrets getting thrown down in the main base. There's basically no economy for Cure back at home.
Yeah, I think Cure's dead. He's just going to hunt down these SCVs.
You don't see fights like this every day.
Yeah, I know. We're finally seeing the Vikings the way that Dustin Browder wanted them to be used.
Yeah.
It's like, well, they could fly, but they could also just like land in a fight. And that never happened until this season of GSL. And now he can just throw his SCVs in here because this game's over. Maru is taking game 2, in a commanding performance, action-packed, technical play, deep understanding of a very nuanced position.
What a game there from Maru, and what a start to this best of 7, man. Game 1 and Game 2 both treats an action-packed macro game in game number 1. Game 2, Maru goes back to a build that we saw Byun use earlier in this tournament. Was able to find success, but not as much success as Maru really got in that game, because Maru, from start to finish, he got so much damage done that you could just tell that Cure was up against the ropes the entire time. He was cutting SCVs at times that he didn't want to because he was so broke. And you could see the frustration a little bit on his face because nothing really went right for him in that game. And I mean, after winning game number 1 in such spectacular fashion, this back and forth, action-packed battle where you win in the mid game and then the late game against Maru.
Right.
To lose in basically one fell swoop like this, it's got to be demoralizing here for Cure.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, here's what I want to know, State, is how many more times we're going to have that build used. Because it does appear to be a build for both Bjorn and from Maru that they don't really care if you know it's coming. This may be some new tech here from Maru where he's like, no, actually it's pretty hard to stop. I'm not sure if I even know how to stop it. And I love that we finally see where it's supposed to go. The tank comes out later. The barracks that's made in the main is floated over to the expansion to be used in the push. The Vikings come out to aid that, and eventually you have a Raven to stop the Banshees. I mean, it's like everything sets up that forces the other Terran to react in a way that the counter is then inbound right after that.
Yeah, we really saw that build at its full potential. Maru and Cure tied 1-1 here in this best of 7 as we are loading up into ESL Gresmond, who will take game number 3, coming down closer and closer to crowning a new GSL champion.
Can't wait.
Club NV, Cure. Onside Gaming, Maru.
Is it gas before barracks?
Yeah, gas first for Maru. Barracks racks for Cure. It's a double gas for Cure. Okay. Seen this a couple times already today.
Yeah. Again, Maru really showing some deep knowledge. I do feel like he does look a little bit stronger than Cure today. I mean, in that last game, Cure was very impressive, but you know, it almost seemed like Maru overheated in game 1 and kind of overextended.
So many
Maru's
fans
support
out here.
G6L.
Protoss OP in the bottom left. I see that.
Yeah, we have to keep that meme going, man.
That's 4 Terrans in top 4 is not enough.
Zerg's winning every GSL, 4 Terrans in this round of 4, but no, it's Protoss, man. We love the signs, guys.
Oh, okay. So Maru had the resources to throw down the command center straight away, but he saw the SCV scout coming in from Cure, and so what he opted to do instead was to go for the SCV, building a depot there at the natural ramp, and that's going to prevent Cure from coming into the main base and confirming this. And usually when you see a 2 depot build like this, you're thinking it's going to be factory and then command center, at least from the PBT point of view. I'm not sure exactly how it shakes out in TBT, but I imagine it's kind of similar. So Maru playing a little bit suboptimally in terms of build, just to play the mind games a little bit here.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see. So they're both basically playing a pretty conservative start here, although they got here in very different ways. But the command centers are going to be made in the main. It's very much about making the other player guess that maybe a tech rush is inbound when it's not. Since they're both doing this, this usually doesn't amount to very much.
2 Reapers on the field for Cure, just 1 for Maru right now. Is Maru actually has nothing being produced from his barracks. Instead was just going for the reactor, now getting the Hellion. So these 2 Reapers coming into the main base could cause some problems here.
Yeah, he actually got a little bit too greedy. I kind of anticipated something to come out of the barracks there.
Yeah, just really wanted that reactor, and with nice control, only going to lose 1 SCV and a little bit of mining time as that orbital command now comes down into the natural expansion. And for a second, I thought there was a 3rd command center there from here on the high ground, but it's a starport. I was losing my mind for a moment there.
No, that would have been wild. Cure did get Cyclone. He may try to come out and look for some kind of a fight on the map with that.
It pairs very well with these early Reapers here for Cure. Maru just continuing to power up. Reactoring out these Hellions, mixing in Ravens as well. Kind of a slow start here in game number 3.
Yeah, quiet start, but there's a lot of mind games going on. Some of the best games you can watch in StarCraft don't really come down to like this guy tried to attack and this guy stopped it or didn't stop it, but like how tricky the build orders are here. To the casual observer, it can look like nothing's happening, but actually there's a lot of corner cutting going on and faking and bluffing here as well.
There's a reason why StarCraft players in general tend to succeed in other games like poker.
Yeah,
after they end their careers is because...
long history of that actually with StarCraft players making money in poker, because the early game was basically very similar idea-wise.
Yeah, it's a game of limited information, and especially in StarCraft 2 with how fast builds can progress. I mean, the mind games that you can employ are pretty crazy. And this is a lot of Hellions actually taste. I didn't realize we had so many Hellions coming in. Hellions taking down Cyclones, not something you see that often. One Cyclone going to lock onto that Raven, still maintaining the lock on that Raven, very low on HP. Will have to back off. I think Maru really wanted to drop an auto turret there, but just wasn't able to get in range. That Cyclone doing a great job of zoning and protecting the rest of Kira's army. And,
I mean, he gets in, he gets right back out. We have the accumulation of Ravens already happening. Tank count is building up over here as well. I don't know that either side can really fully engage with the other, but I say that as Kira's going to move out across the map.
Kira moving across the map, 2 siege tanks, 10 Marines, as well as a Cyclone and a Viking. So quite a formidable early push here, especially against a player who is mostly going for Hellions, because Maru really doesn't have a lot of firepower, and behind this, he's going for a 3rd command center and double engineering base. So a lot of greed on Maru's side, and if you're gonna be able to punish it, it's gonna be a build like this one. Drop coming into the main base right now. Keep in mind, there is a Cyclone with this.
Now, that Marine that scouted totally missed all of this.
Uh-oh.
But it seems like Maru's gonna be okay regardless.
Yeah, for a moment, I was really scared for Kira there, going a little bit too close to that natural expansion, because those Ravens can rain hell down on those siege tanks if they don't have enough support.
All right, scans on both sides here. It looks like he might try to push into the main. I don't see why not.
I feel like Maru is relatively safe here, though, and I like this disable coming in, just kind of pushing Kira away from that position. Maru's going to be able to take a more formidable anchoring point with these 2 siege tanks at the natural.
All right, he's continuing to relocate his tanks. Looks like Kira wants to try to set up again and create a threat. Can he hit the command center from there? I think you barely can. Oh,
yeah,
no,
one of them
can. Okay.
By the way, I just want to point out that Kira is very heavily investing into Vikings. He's been producing them nonstop. 7 Vikings in total on the field, now going into Liberators.
Usually that's an indicator he's going to try to win with a push.
Yeah, I think this is actually going to be a very hard contain here on the outside of Maru. Kira is looking to get damage done and force Maru to attack into him. Actually, the Viking is landing here, focusing down the siege tanks, getting a lot of damage in.
Oh, that might actually do it.
Wow.
That actually might do it. He's actually going to get the command center, too.
Yeah, Maru getting greed checked a little bit here in game number 3 as he tries to find a flank.
Oh, I see. He tried to go across the map and drop. That's why there was so little. Well,
yeah.
Maru might actually just tap out. I think that might be a back-breaking move.
I think so. I mean, going for the drop and then also a 3rd command center and also double engineering bay behind all of this is just a little bit stretched too thin.
A little bit of disrespect here from Maru, not really appreciating that, Kira would, push come to shove, just come on in.
And perhaps just didn't anticipate him coming for such a killing blow here. Is Maru going to try this counterattack?
Oh my God, this tank lives.
But I would not be surprised to see Maru tap out very shortly here as the pressure just continues to ramp up here in the natural expansion. I mean, Maru literally on 1 mining base. Yes, he does have a 2nd orbital, but there's very little he can get done here. But he is a GSL champion, a G5L champion for a reason. He fights tooth and nail, Tasteless. He's gonna make Kira work for it as best he can.
Well, I think this is a smart move. He's just gonna try to get as much value out of this position that he's fought into as possible. And you know what? Honestly, this is like a lot of damage. I think he should be pretty happy with this. This is looking very, very grim right now for Maru. He does have a 2nd orbital because that was supposed to be his 3rd orbital. But, I mean, what is Kira really built up into here? I mean, his army is considerably bigger. He has double the workers right now.
Has the 3rd command center up already. Probably going to be lifting that to the 3rd base very soon.
No doubt.
Maru does have at least 1-1, but I mean, that's a very small price to pay for Kira to be 1 upgrade behind. and just completely hamstring your opponent's not only army but economy. So looks like Maru is just going to try and set up for basically one Hail Mary play. If you look at the production tab, he's not even producing SDVs at this point, just pumping Marines and siege tanks as best he can. And he's going to try and work some magic here, but I would love to hype this up. I feel like it's going to be very difficult for Maru to get basically anything done.
I mean, Cure kind of knows what he needs to do, and it's not the most exciting thing in the world, but it's just to kind of seal himself off and make sure he can't take any damage, you know, and it's on 2 bases, which is, you know, one of the more doable things to go for here. The drop's going to come in. He's going to commit up into the main. What do we have here to defend? We have 1 siege tank, and the Vikings are going to come in here. The Vikings will actually trap the medevacs in, so this may be the final death throes of Maru in this game.
Yeah, it's attack failing here. Maru back at home, slowly incrementing out SCVs, but just too far behind. 113 supply to 51, and Maru's gonna tap out, and Cure takes a 2-1 lead.
Impressive. Cure does it. And I'll tell you, when is the last time you, in your memory, have seen Maru die on 2 bases to a push? Because he basically died long before that attack actually at the very end there happened. I mean, Cure came in there, he pushed, he sieged up, he started to damage the command center. He looked around, he said, "You don't have any Marines," and lands the Vikings and gets that kill.
Yeah, it doesn't happen that often. I actually can't, from my service memory, really recall a game where Maru just got dismantled like that. But you know, Maru has been making a lot of greedy plays so far, not just in this tournament, but today. He's been going for a fast 3rd CC a lot. He's been really trying to play the upgrade advantage to the best of his ability, and Cure's like, I'm not even gonna play catch up. I'll delay my double engineering bay. I'm just going to go attack you as best I can.
Short break, guys. We'll be right back with the finals continuing on. Don't go anywhere.
Everything's upside down and inside out. It's a new world that takes away all my doubts. I won't back down, giving a lower my eyes. Now it's never say die till I hit that bullseye. Is there anyone up there to save our souls? Might as well not wait to take the lead and roll to know your enemy, and stand up for what you believe in. Is there anyone up there to save our souls? Might as well not wait to take the lead and roll to know your enemy, and fight for what you believe in.
사경영 5경영까지 모였습니다. 건설로 컨트롤 너무 좋네. 건설로 컨트롤이 너무 좋아요. 지옥불 조기 전으로 또레이드가 됐고, 아이고 좁아요. 그냥 끝날 것 같은데요. 여왕 숫자 유지가 안 되고 있습니다. 계속 병력들이 내려오고 있고 건설 로봇도 내려오고 있습니다. 자, 분열기 2개가 이제 찍혔는데 불멸자 하나가 희망인데. GG.
1.4를 요즘부터 했어야 되거든요.
올려줘야죠. 소리가
지금 자원들이 계속 집요하게 노리고 있어요. 자, 이거 좀 뺀 선택을 했는데 와, 이게 들어옵니다.
포로 경험치 작업 들어갑니다 이제. 경험치 몰아주기 들어갔죠.
들어가면 취재.
하다하다못해 이제 상대 본진의 군수공장 짓는 경기도 중계를 하게 되네요.
긁히고 시작하는
와, 이거 당했어요.
마방으로 들어가는 김도욱도 판단이 이게 안 되고 노동쟁이 밀리지 않으면서
그렇죠.
근데 오늘
네, 쭉쭉 취재. 박강민 터졌고요.
6시에서 본진 들어가는 게 엄청 커요.
자, 여기 내렸습니다. 자,
이거
여기는
근데 이쪽도 크긴 해요.
네,
서로
업그레이드 있어요. 네.
근데 여기서 해병 너무 많이 공방 사업이 깨지면서 무기고까지 깨졌어요.
네, 지금 다 터지고 있어요.
해방선으로 슈퍼 세이브 한번 보거든요.
네, 저 여기서 하나가
여기서
버튼을 일곱 개 동원하고 있어요.
잘못 들이받으면 변수가 생겼는데
네, 위에
잘 들이받았네요.
네.
병영 싸움을 말도 안 되게 이긴다면
야, 그래서
아,
바로 갑니다. 나는 병영이 3개.
이공이 많았다. 5세트 가야지.
그렇죠. 상황에서
지금까지 그 숨겨왔던 그 야성, 그
그렇죠.
본능을 보여줘.
아,
막을 수
물량이에요. 지금
있다면
머리 숫자에서.
나도 막을 수 있다.
숫자 차이가 좀 너무
나도
납니다.
이것도 물량이죠.
그렇죠. 이거
싸움도 전차 잡힐 것 같은.
자, 들어오는
전차
상황에서
밀릴 것 같은데요, 이거.
터져요.
이것만 아니면 되는데. 이래서 FP가 안 돼요. 지금 조합을. 손 많이 가는 조합인데 이기게 할수록 아파요. 여기서 한 번에 밀리는 것만 아니면 돼요. 버텨만 있으면 돼요. 버텨가 있어 보이는데요. 아니 가두리 이건 갇혔어요. 변현우가 공성보다 안 했어요. 김동욱의 공성보다 안 했어요. 공성보다 안 했을 때 선수
그래도 녹아요.
강원이라도 충분히 먹었어야죠.
역경과 고난이 나왔어요. 나갑니다.
지금 이 플레이 자체만으로 배를 조금이나마 더 굴린 건데
이거 앞마당 깨지면 경기 끝나는
터지는데요?
거거든요. 이거. 거신 아직 열광선이 안 돼서
터지고
지뢰 유령 EMP 쓰면서 한번 뚫을 수 있는 타이밍 만들었는데요.
자,
조성주.
밀고 들어가서 이번에 뚫어버리나요? 이거 치고 올라옵니까?
화력이 나오는데요. 이거는
위쪽에 밀고 들어가면서 이번에
해병 백병들에서 질 수가 없어요. 그냥 바로 못하네요. 이거 잡히면 망합니다. 망해요. 뭐할 건데 이거 할 건데. 작업차인데.
일곱의 동원해서
깜깜하게 힘.
여기 방어 라인을 약한 부분을 파고 있습니다. 자, 일곱까지 동원하면서
자, 그럼 이거 수비하면서 똑같이 전진해야 되거든요.
네,
이거
네. 자,
공성모드 살짝
들어가서
느리면 위험해요.
자, 위에서 하나
아니. 조성주 진짜 통곡의 벽인데요.
그렇죠. 천정이면 천정.
지게로 뭐 제건데.
상황에서 하나 지금 묶어놨고요. 들게 만들었습니다.
변수가 이재 선수가 병영을 일단 씌워서 방해 매트릭스 역으로 들어가면 뚫릴 수도 있어요. 그러면 대장갑.
자, 위로 들어가서 지금 여기까지. 자,
안일병수가
할수 있나요?
이거 설마 한 번에
한 번에 1합에 끝내버리나요? 네.
아니 이재선이 초반에 그렇게 공격적으로 해서 포인트 조금씩 땄는데
위에서 지금 병력까지도 자, 추가면에 또 옵니다. 달려들어요. 앞으로.
기회가 보이면 절대로 놓치지 않죠. 버티는 겁니다. 굳이 움직이지 않아요.
네, 뒤로 들어가서
네. 반가방이 포기.
자, 위에서 물러서네요.
와 이걸 조성주 좋은 위치 잘 왔는데 이제 문제 흥성유사 얼마나
행룡
쓰리 이거 한번 버티게 해줘. 이거 한번 행성유사만 때릴 수 있게. 이게 결정적이죠. 이게 모든 걸 투자하고 있을 때 조성주의 무게중심은 어느샌가 중앙지역 쪽으로
그렇죠. 계속 몰아칩니다. 시간 안 줘요.
조성주의 끝에선
우리 차이가 좀 나요.
반응도 못했고
네, 여기서 이거 손해가 좀 늦어.
이런
먼저
조성주는 반응을
그럼 배주고 있는 상황이고.
비슷한데 그럼 공항연구소라도 깨서 무기고 안 되게 디나이 시켜야 되는데
이제 수습의 싸움입니다. 자, 뭉쳐 있는데요. 이제 이쪽으로.
네.
이게 시간 싸움. 이쪽으로 들어갈 수 있나요?
마지막
자, 위로 들어가요.
이쪽에 대박
이거 다 들어가요.
깜깜하기
이거는 깡통 전차.
공성 모드
시제. 새로운 역사를.
I've been coming up hot for a minute. Everybody know the drop when I'm in it. Everybody know the drop when I'm in it. I've been coming up hot for a minute.
참해봐 새로운 걸 참해봐 짜릿한 걸 참할수록 더 새로운 날이 보여 시작해 짜릿하게 참해봐 시작해 색다르게 참해봐 매일 참해봐 새로운 날을 시작은 새로 짜릿함을 참해 매일 새로움을 참해 너도 탐세봐 탐세로
똑같은 하루에서 답답함을 빼면 더 청량해질 거야. 제로처럼. 우리 없어도 되는 건 빼고 살자. 칠성사이다 제로.
드디어 카운트다운을 시작합니다.
4, 3, 2, 1.
떴다. 제로 칼로리로 기분까지 가볍게. 밀키스 제로.
Final match. Cure. Maru.
Welcome back, everybody. The GSL Finals continues on. Right now, Cure is up 2-1 versus Maru.
Yeah, it's been an incredible set of games so far, too. Every single one has been action-packed.
Yeah.
I mean, game number one, back and forth, macro game, nonstop action. Cure getting the edge over Maru, who I feel like is probably one of the best, if not the best, mid and late game TBT player in the world right now. And then, you know, game two, game three, just some pretty fast action. A lot of really fun plays.
Some crazy stuff happening. And Cure actually basically beating Maru with a two-base push. Maru a little bit too greedy. Very weird builds going on both sides where they're both trying to fake that they're doing some kind of tech when actually they're both going into a hidden command center and then trying to play it out from there. But Maru, you know, when we saw his best of five before this one where he beat Bunny, it looked like he was just mechanically better at the basics of Terran versus Terran, better at taking fights in the middle, better at positional play. But now that we see him against Cure, Cure seems to be able to hold his own. He seems to be able to deal and engage with Maru and defend and let Maru overextend and attack into him, and now he's in the lead.
Yeah, up 2-1, and also not just with defense, but the offense there in that previous game. I mean, Maru has been getting away with these greedy plays, it feels like all GSL, going for fast third command centers, going for double engineering bay drops, and even in game number 3, behind all of that, going for a medevac drop while he's getting pushed, it is natural. So
yeah.
He's really trying to kind of stretch the limit of what should be possible, and he got punished there in game number 3. I would be surprised, honestly, if we saw Maru lose the same way in this series.
I think he's got a little bit of time to adjust from that, you know, that little break that we had. I think what you said earlier was really important, State. Cure is greed checking Maru here. He's coming in here and saying, all right, can you actually defend this? He's testing the parameters of the defense, and when he sees there's not much pushback, he pulls the trigger. He goes in there and then starts to deal that damage. I think you're right. I don't think we're going to see Maru lose another game like we saw in game 3. That was him being like kind of crazy greedy. But Cure does seem to be getting the hang of what exactly Maru's doing here. And look, he's halfway there. If he gets 2 more wins, he's moving on to be our finalist champion.
Yeah, would be an incredible moment. Would be an incredible upset even to have Cure defeat Maru, the greatest of all time GSL competitor. That trophy, a beautiful trophy. I love the colors on it, just waiting for one of these gamers to lift it up over their head as a champion.
And who's he going to be? I mean, before I came into the studio today, I thought probably Maru, right? I mean, you know, it's happened before. It's happened 5 times already. But
yeah,
right now it's Cure up in the lead. This is going to be a very important map 4 because there's only 2 possible outcomes. Either Maru ties it up 2-2 and we're dead even, or Cure pulls out a massive lead 3-1, very difficult to recover from. We're now going into Babylon. Let's continue this finals on as we get one step closer to crowning a GSL Code S champion.
Oh boy. Wouldn't be a GSL finals without a proxy 2 racks tasteless.
I mean,
go all the way back
I didn't think that this was going to be the game, to be honest, but
I didn't think so either.
I thought if he was going to do this, maybe it'd be like Maru after he wins this game.
Maybe save it for Game 7, some Maru, excuse me, MVP versus Squirtle action.
Yeah, where it's like everything is decided on a cheese and people are losing their minds. Well,
that's exciting. I like this. Welcome down to the studio, everybody. GSL forever, StarCraft 2 forever. I saw that sign in the background.
Yeah.
We appreciate you.
We're so happy to have you guys down here. Is this going to be one where he has a third barracks? I guess that's probably more of a thing for Zerg. What am I talking about? But, you know, we've had some crazy games. Now, hold on a second. Cure's coming out on the map. And this just might be a normal scout.
Yeah, it might be a normal scout, and that might actually be one of the best ways to actually scout for this Proxy 2 barracks, because you kind of think of all the possible places where these 2 racks could be on the map, and say you get really unlucky and it's just the last place you look. Like, say you go all the way around the left side or the right side, you come all the way, you loop back, and then, oh, it's not there.
The only thing that it's not going to cover is a Maca racks.
Yeah, Maca racks.
Where they, you know, they hide it just outside of their base and you overreact. But I think it's probably the better way to play is to just go all the way across and look and see what they have.
Yeah, so Kira already has a very good idea of what's coming his way, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him throw down a command center and then maybe a bunker right here, or it could even be a factory. We'll see. Yeah, it's going to be the factory. All right.
So obviously that first Reaper can't do anything, as Kira's Reaper's going to get the first hit. Now remember, we've seen double racks Reaper, but before it was the weird build where he does one of the barracks in his main. But I don't see why you wouldn't be able to do the same weird build and make a factory here with this barracks here, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. I know that one of the SCVs
he makes
actually...
the factory back here.
Yeah,
okay.
I knew one of the SCVs went back home. Perhaps it was both of them, as finally that SCV does get cleaned up back at Maru's base, and that's just going to be a light pressure, I guess. Maru now going to lift this barracks. He's not really looking to end the game anymore. He's just trying to get a good idea of exactly what Kira is working with here, and maybe get the vision to preempt with some grenades now coming up the ramp. Nade's actually set up quite well. Seeing a lot of this different bio. SCV building the command center does get taken down. Good control here by Maru, kiting back with the injured Reapers for a very long time, continuing to do so even. There's already 6 SCVs falling, and if all 3 of these Reapers get out, which they might,
he's gonna land it! Gamer alert.
That's pretty sick.
Gamer alert. Blocks it off. That was wild. Okay, so 6 SCVs already killed. That's really good.
Yeah, he lost 1 Reaper for that, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. That was some phenomenal control, and I think the barracks really set him up for that. Just was able to map out what the plan was with the vision that he got. And okay, here we go again. This is a really ambitious one, but I suppose Maru wants to trade these Reapers out sooner rather than later. More grenades coming in. Really nice hits. Only gets 2 more SCVs, but that's a lot of battered and bruised units. And in total, 9 SCVs fall for 5 Reapers in total. And Maru back at home. His expansion a little bit later than Cure's, but already a 6-worker lead.
All right, well, I gotta say, I wasn't expecting it to really do as much as it did, but it seemed like the arcing, the way that he was able to kind of circle around. The truth is Marines just aren't as fast as Reapers. They have a hard time catching up. Maru seems to be in good shape so far. It doesn't mean that Kier can't play this out and maybe come out on top, but right now, I gotta say, it's a very good start for Maru.
Yeah, I'm liking this opening for Maru a lot, and also having that command center built on the low ground as opposed to on the high ground, which Kier had to do because of the Proxy 2 barracks, means that Maru's going to inch forward, the SCV count lead just a little bit more production time on that orbital, and now a 3rd command center once again coming in for Maru.
Yeah, here comes that medevac now. It's going to be Kier's turn to try to come in and do some damage. Obviously, the medevac is going to spot that the moment it comes in, just looking at the angle it's set up. But there's going to be a 3rd command center here for Kier. I think this is almost, as we're really unpacking TVT now, this seems to be just kind of standard, right? Maybe better to just kind of sit back and land mules and make SCVs and get that 3rd command center out when you can. Not trying to commit on any kind of 2-basing.
It feels like with the Cyclone, a handful of Marines, 1 siege tank and a Raven, you can kind of hold off most early game aggression here. So yeah, the 3rd CC seems to be quite safe as Hellion Drop does come in, picks off 4 SCVs. Actually, he's going to get 2 more there with 6. Maru not pulling those ones back. Even 7, he's going to get 8. Not
Yeah.
quite 8, but
Kind of a
that's
shocking
nice.
number of SCV kills, to be honest.
Yeah, when I saw that drop come in, I almost wrote it off as like, okay, this will be minimal. We'll get 2 or 3
same.
SCVs and then continue on.
I looked at
but
that, I'm like, all right, well, whatever. I mean, I guess you got to use the Hellions, right? Like, they actually get that many worker kills.
yeah, that
Not bad.
equalizes it. Kier actually now with a worker lead. I mean, albeit it's only 1 worker and only for just a moment, but you will take that any day of the week if you can equalize from that traumatic early game Reaper harassment. You're going to be feeling a lot better about your position in this game.
Now, getting that medevac means you have 1 less Raven. We know Maru likes to get about 3 Ravens out and then try to be active on the map with that. So let's see what he can actually find here. You know, and again, with Maru, I do feel like he is the very, very best at just making things happen with these minimal amounts of units. Now, we have a Cyclone, and I think it was 4 Marines actually inside the medevac here. Yeah, it was. Can he maybe just get some limited picks on the side over here?
Maybe. I think Maru also does have a Cyclone at home, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure exactly where it is, but he should be able to shoot this one away without too much trouble, especially with those 3 Ravens back at home. But at the very least, Kira is going to keep Maru pinned back a little. He's going to secure this position up here in the front, moving towards the natural expansion with its siege tanks, Ravens, and Marines. And Viking production starting really early here for Maru. This is something we haven't seen too much from him so far today. And wow, he had a really good read on this. I'm not sure if it was a scan that caught it or what exactly the situation was. And it can't boost because of the disables, so it's actually just going to die.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty remarkable
Wow.
catch. Not every day we get to cast, you know, a medevac getting disabled, but it's just one of those moments that goes to show you don't want to just lurk like that outside of the base. Because they can find you and they can just punish you like that.
Yeah, that is some sick star sense there from Maru. I'm not sure what tipped him off, or if it was just that he had a good read on what Kier would probably try to do with his position, but that is just fantastic play from him.
All right, the double E-bays are about to finish for Kier. 1-1 has already started here for Maru, so he'll probably, throughout this whole series, maintain that upgrade lead.
Yeah, but just barely.
Just barely, but we've had a lot of games where that just barely becomes just about everything.
Yeah, that is true.
So he's just going to push the 3rd CC away. Easy peasy. Not committed. Soft contained position. Backs up. And, oh, that's funny.
He's going to get one, isn't he? Oh,
Yeah.
barely survives. But yeah, this is Maru doing some nice maneuvering here. I mean, this orbital moving all the way from the triangle 3rd to the 3rd over here on the right side is going to cost Kier not only mining time, but also SCV production, because he's not fully saturated yet. So this is like getting 2 SCV kills, more or less. I mean, it's a great win here for Maru.
Yeah, and you know, whenever you're watching this, you've got to be a little bit afraid of like a push into the main. You know, he doesn't have medevac, so he can't just pick up, but you could like siege up and start to shell infrastructure. And he might actually go for it. I'm not clear on who has more Vikings.
I think Maru just barely is lacking here from Kier, especially with the rally point being so far back at home. So he is going to pivot instead towards the middle of the map, just try and change the angle of attack here a little bit. Kier going to see if he can try and catch him. I think he's caught wind of this, so for a moment I was wondering whether he would just try to siege up in a spot that was barely out of vision and get some cheap shots off, but instead just going to play it nice and safe. Continue to rove around between the natural and the 3rd base. And already the armory coming in now for Maru. Kier, keep in mind, I mean, the upgrade differential in 1-1 is minimal between these 2 players, but if Maru gets that armory and the +2/2 started, you know, significantly faster than Kier, then that is where the window will be created.
Yeah, looks like it's actually a little bit closer than I thought with the upgrades. I thought for some reason it was more like a 10, 15, 20-second thing.
Well, now it is because of the armories.
Yeah. Okay, well, that is going to be there after all. Excuse me.
It came full circle. You're right now.
I was wrong before. Now I'm right this time. Maru fishing for a fight here, opening up these parts of the map so that he can circulate and reposition as much as he needs to.
Big armor shredding missile coming in right now. So these Vikings getting extra value here with these hits. Some Ravens falling.
Yeah, really bad engages with Maru's Vikings versus everything that Kier had. He like barely killed a Raven and then barely killed another Raven, and by then he had lost most of his Vikings.
Yeah. Bit of a misread there for Maru, I think, is perhaps he thought he had enough to one-shot the Raven and instead just lacking in Vikings a tad, but now I think it's something like double-digit Vikings to maybe 3 here for Maru, so it's not the best situation overall. If you're trying to play the air game, you really want to be able to contest it. The worst possible scenario is that you invest in Vikings, you invest in Ravens, you invest in all of these air units, and then you lose air control.
Right.
Because sometimes we'll see players like Beyond just be like, okay, I do not care about this. I'm going to pump triple-digit Marines and find my value that way. But if you're Maru and you're losing Viking trades like that, then suddenly not only do you not have air control, but when you actually do get into engagements with siege tanks, you need to drop down a ton of scans to actually maintain vision, so it really indirectly also hurts your economy.
All right, he's going to start the push into the main. I'm not clear on what he actually has in the main. Okay, so this is actually really bad for Kier. There's a lot of infrastructure, a lot of stuff is going to get shelled here. He can just maneuver these Marines down a little bit further. There's a counterattack over here up at 12 o'clock. I don't know if this is going to go into the main or if he's going to... Oh, well, he's got Vikings ready.
Yeah, siege tanks as well there at the 3rd base, so he is safe for now. And Maru with basically no air units over here on this side of the map. They're all just back at home, slowly building back up, and he is going to come in and try and catch this. Might be able to get a medevac. Does get 1. Infantry, weapons, and armor. 2-2 now finishing here for Maru as, you know, despite that kind of unfortunate exchange of Vikings and Ravens that happened earlier in the game, the army supply is still very even. Maru actually ahead a little bit, as he's been getting the better end of a number of these trades. And keep in mind, he is the only player with a Raven on the field right now, so disables are still in the cards here. Instead, it's going to be an armor shredding missile coming down the Vikings, and Maru's going to try and breach this position as best that he can. Vikings engaging here. Liberator does get focus fired down. Siege tanks coming in as well. And overall, it seems a relatively even trade.
Yeah, it looks like the Viking count's starting to thin out, though, now for Kier. A healthy number of tanks. Maru continuing to remain very liquid on the map here, able to relocate whenever he needs to. And the next couple, maybe the next minute or so, are going to be very important because Maru's looking to try to dislodge this 4th base. And if he can dislodge it, if he can punt the your command center to another location, it's going to be a massive boost here. But if Maru overextends, which we know he has done before, it could be bad. So he's actually going to mix it up. He's going to pull back. He's going to relocate. He's going to look for another opportunity. I think that basically Kier is ready to meet him at every pass, though.
Yeah, sieging down over here on the low ground, and Kier also has that sensor tower by the 4th base, so he has a good idea of where Maru's army is positioning. But keep in mind, Maru, during all this action, he is expanding across the map. He's taking the bottom left base. That will bring him up to 5 bases in total. +3 weapons now starting for Kier. No +3 armor just yet. Maru already pumping both of those, about a 1/3 of the way done. So we'll be able to retain this upgrade lead throughout the rest of the game, at least until that 3-3 finishes there for Kier. So another potential window, maybe a minute and a half down the line here for Maru. We'll see if he's able to find an avenue of attack to actually take advantage of it. And I kind of feel like he's trying to set up for some plays like that as he kills the sensor tower, and then I guess, of course, Kier just immediately throws down another one.
Yeah. Well, Maru can't quite find a crack here in the defenses. You know, this map specifically, it's kind of hard to seesaw up and down. You know, we've already seen this kind of back and forth a couple times, and it's really difficult to actually find that opening. Well, hold on a second. He's going to... Okay, he's going to back up once more.
I think the issue is the air superiority for Kier has just been, you know, a pain in the side here at Maru as he's trying to navigate around and find these angles, because he has to use scans not only to identify the positioning of Kier's army, but also to set up for a lot of engagements that happen. As it's 15 Vikings now for Kier to the 9 of Maru, and I actually didn't even realize that the difference was quite that vast.
Yeah. But
Fusion Core coming in for Kier too. Okay.
3-3's done, so we're not going to get stronger infantry than this right now here from Maru. I guess the truth is Maru is still outgrowing him while he continues to rotate and kind of keep Kier's APM burned up, you know, getting ready to defend these different angles. The reality is that he's just sort of a faster macro player.
Yeah, wow, this is a really ambitious sensor tower to set up too. This will give Maru a ton of information. Is look at all these circles over here on the mini map.
It's because it was kind of soft contain rotation into hard contain. He's actually building turrets up here. He doesn't want to give this up. He wants to basically make Cure really work to get out of here. And this is kind of crazy to see.
Yeah, Cure now getting Liberator range will make it a little bit easier for him to dislodge these siege tanks around the map. Cure trying to do his best to really finesse his way through this position. We'll be able to breach in here. Small drop coming in, and the natural expansion here of Maru will get cleaned up.
The first drop we've seen here from Cure in a long time.
It's been kind of a passive game, really. I mean, Maru's been active in attempting attacks, but he hasn't been able to find any avenue.
And you know, it's a lot of work to try to get these tanks removed, unless you want to bum rush them, but you could always end up trading unfavorably. And I mean, I gotta say, I'm very impressed with Maru here. I didn't quite expect the game to get kind of this intense here. By the way, vehicle weapons level 3 here, so these siege tanks are gonna be brutal if you overstep and walk into them.
5 Liberators in production at a time now for Cure, though, Tasteless. So Cure is making a little bit of a transition here into Air Terran, Sky Terran coming through, and I mean, 5 Liberators with range, they can take down siege tanks in a hurry, and even if you are quick with your reactions here as Maru, unsieging and trying to withdraw from the position, it's still very difficult to make it happen. And a lot more turrets coming in, high-stack auto-tracking also coming in. That is missile turret range here for Cure. Vehicle weapons 2 completed as well, as Rio just filling out the tech trees, and Maru gonna try and make an engagement. A lot of disables coming in. 4 tanks get disabled. They will get cleaned up here, and actually armor shredding missile here on the Vikings. So Maru able to take a little bit of a better trade than he otherwise would have been able to, and that's a big win for him, because keep in mind, Cure just pumped out 5 Liberators. He has 2 more in production.
Yeah.
And so now losing the majority of his Vikings 17-5, or 17-7, excuse me, in Maru's favor. Those Liberators suddenly a lot less scary, almost dead supply here, as Maru just holding down the air superiority at this point might be his path forward to actually start breaching these positions.
Yeah, you know, it's funny, he built his way up to this very specific unit comp, but it can't really be utilized if the Viking dominance is so important. And this is sort of the organic tier list of power in TVT, right? I mean, it starts out with who has stim, then eventually it's who has, siege tanks, and then it's who really controls the skies, because the siege tanks can't be utilized without, something in the air to spot for them. And notice this base, it's not at 12 o'clock, it's like just past 12 o'clock to Cure's side of the map. This is where I'm starting to worry, because if Maru can actually keep this position that he has set up here, he's going to have like 2/3 of the map and the expansions that come with that.
Yeah, this contain is going to be very hard to breach. And so Liberators are sieging up here. Another armor shredding missile. A lot of Ravens here for Maru. Would not be surprised to see him drop down some auto turrets, but instead just going to opt for his Vikings, making the best trades possible here, as he's also now mixing in Liberators, and a bit of a trade there with ship weapons now getting researched by both players. And Maru just really controlling basically all of the map.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I gotta say, it's kind of remarkable. I feel like this is not what normal StarCraft 2 TVT looks like. This actually looks a lot more like, not even a modern StarCraft 1 TVT, but kind of like an older, almost pre-StarCraft 2, like StarCraft 1 TVT.
The funny thing is also that we started this game with Bio, and we went all the way up to 3-3, and now both armies are just almost entirely mech.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
It's been a very wild game. But, I mean, just look at the Raven count right now for Maru is absurd. I mean, there's no way of dodging these armor shredding missiles, and so the Vikings coming in for Maru are just constantly getting better trades here. And even Liberators, if they enter the fray and start doing their AoE damage, I mean, if you couple that in with armor shredding missiles, they could actually start to pack a little bit of a punch here. And
I know their supplies are even, but I do feel like actually it is Maru who's basically getting the upper hand in every one of these fights. Like, he's got the Liberators, he can actually push the tanks back now.
He has the Ravens, he has 7 more Vikings. He's continuing to add more Ravens. I mean, his upgrades are also just on point, and Cure is completely contained. He doesn't really have another path forward to expand, and you might look at the minimap and say, okay, yeah, he's on 5 bases though, it's fine. And the reality is a lot of these bases, they're mining out of minerals. And soon Cure, if he wants to continue to fund his war machine, he's going to need to secure either the 12 o'clock or the 6 o'clock base. And Maru is giving him absolutely zero breathing room. Another armor shredding missile coming in. More trades. Maru has slightly less Vikings overall, but
yeah, we're gonna get the auto turret spam out here. That should even out this number. And you know, Maru's actually fought all the way back to this location here at the top right. And
oh wow, I didn't even notice the siege tanks actually laying siege.
Oh, I actually didn't know. I didn't see it either, man, because
here.
you know, there's all this flying stuff over it. Yeah, you know, I think that Maru has kind of done the remarkable. I mean, he's actually slowly, you know, systematically, sequentially brought this game to this position, GG, and that's how he's going to take it. I mean, you just don't really see StarCraft 2 TVT like that.
No, that was
really don't. That was a very, very, very unique game.
One of the most technical TVTs I think I have actually ever seen in StarCraft 2. I mean, the transition from these bio-tank armies, high mobility, lots of harass, trying to set up siege positions, and then not being able to break through. And then after that, being like, okay, let's dial it back. Let's go into the mech units, the power units, the supply-efficient units, and switching from literally 3-3 bio into mech for both players. And Maru just absolutely consuming the map. And mixing in those Ravens, I think, was a critical part of him actually being able to secure the win. Because once those Ravens coupled in with the Vikings, the armor shredding missile, it doesn't matter too much for Vikings, as opposed to units like Marines or Marauders, of course, with their high rate of fire. But it still makes a big difference. And so Maru, with his more technical army, just able to ride that to a win. And the best of 7 turns into a best of 3, as now both of these players only 2 map wins away from being crowned the next GSL Code S champion.
Yeah, it's basically like a reset here. Now it's like a best of 3, right? Dead even. Cure is definitely able to hang with Maru, but Maru really showing some incredible technical prowess in endgame TVT, where he really knew how to elevate each step of his tech to the point where he was finally at the very, very top of that tech ladder in every conceivable way. He had the right number of tanks on the ground. He had hardly any Marines, which is the right number of Marines to have. He had the Ravens, the Vikings, and then the Liberators, and was basically able to control the entire map and ice out any position that would let Cure have an economy for much longer in that game. Now, that was an exhausting game, no doubt, for those 2 players. It was exhausting to cast, honestly, for us. It was a crazy long game. We're going to go to Ancient Sister now and see which of these 2 players is going to take the lead. Is it going to be Cure, or is it going to be Maru? Remember, Maru, if he wins this GSL, it will be the 6th GSL he has won, breaking all records. Cure, the underdog, looking to take that lead and cause the upset of the year in StarCraft 2.
Oop, here we go again.
Whoop.
It's a blue SCV. Is that a Cure SCV?
Cure. Yeah, Cure's the blue one. Although even I was like not sure about calling it. I'm like, wait a minute, did I just get the colors mixed up? So it's going to be Cure with the double racks. I feel like we see this all the time, and it's not working as much as it is working. But he's going to put it here.
It worked last time, didn't it? Wait, did the last game actually start with a 2X? I'm struggling to remember. It was so long. I'm sorry to put you on the spot.
I'm not
everything
sure. We've
starts to
so
blend.
many games.
It's been what? This is the 3rd TVT series so far that we've casted, but I can't quite recall. But yeah, it seems like it's kind of hit or miss, and oftentimes it comes down to positioning and control and whether it actually gets scouted in time.
Yeah, well, I mean, and there's also many ways. You know, the closer you make it, the stronger it is. But then, you know, are they going to look for it or not? Maru, along with everybody else, it seems like has caught on to this idea of just scout them. Don't scout for the proxy, but actually just go across the map, because at this rate, I mean, how common is a Macarax compared to this? I would say like 1 out of every 40 games we have a Macarax.
That's very few. Is that?
Oh, in black. That's Parting. It's Parting over there. It's Parting dressed as a ninja on the right.
It's a ninja. He's trying to hide from us.
The producer said Parting in my ears, and I'm like, the guy in the middle isn't Parting. I know what Parting looks like.
Yeah, I heard it too, and then I looked at the right. I'm like, This
There he
guy.
is. There he is. He's watching these Terrans,
It's a
thinking out ways
celebrity.
to cheese him out. Yeah.
Celebrity trying to hide from the paparazzi,
Yeah.
but we found him.
We found him.
All right, so Maru got the scout off in the main base. He knows this is coming. That's why he pulled all these SCVs, trying to hamper this first Reaper from coming up into the main. Able to get a good bit of damage down. That will slow the push just a little bit, as Kira will want to wait for that Reaper to regen at least the majority of its hit points before coming back in. And actually hold that thought as he just pounces on this straight away. And that one Reaper almost did get taken out.
Yeah, again, it's all about keeping every Reaper alive so that that damage can start to stack up. The factory back at home, indicating this is not going to be any kind of rush that we've already seen. A little bit worried here. I mean, he's being pretty cavalier. There is a way you can kind of, I was going to say, there's a way you can kind of preempt what they're going to do. You know, that jump isn't instantaneous. It does take, you know, a little bit under a second to kind of get up and then land, and then you can move it back out. And in that time, you can be receiving damage.
I feel like Kira was trying to find one Marine kill or one Reaper kill before the Hellion got out, but just wasn't actually able to get it. And that's on Maru just having really good control, though. I mean, he's one of those players that does this build more than anybody else. So it only makes sense that he will know what it should look like defending it, right?
I'm excited to see how Maru's going to play this, too, because, like, you know, if you're losing to a build on ladder a whole lot, one of the best things you can do is just do that build to somebody who's really good and see how they stop it. All right, now he actually got in here with the good angling. A little bit of a misclick.
Yeah, these are some massive grenades, too. That's a lot of AoE damage on these SCVs. Look at how low HP they are. 7 SCVs already going down. Will it be 8? Just barely not. Oh, he actually does get one, so that's a very good trade there for Kira. I've got to say, that's better than I was expecting. And also keep in mind that he lost one of those Reapers straight from the get-go. It's just, those grenades were so clutch. They got so much AoE damage in that it was like every single SCV was in the red.
Crazy moment back there. Ultimately was a success. And now, I mean, this is a substantial worker lead here.
One more Reaper, I think, has snuck its way into the main base as those SCVs are actually frantically trying. They're huddling to repair each other. They don't want to fall to yet another Reaper, and it's kind of a feels bad man there for Maru. Is you do not want to spend all of these resources repairing your SCVs instead of mining. I mean, it's just not what you want your units to be doing.
No,
the reality of the situation is there's all so low because those grenades from Cure were so solid that if you don't do it, you run the risk of Hellions coming in or 1 or 2 more Reapers coming in, and suddenly everything's getting 1-shot or 2-shot.
If they don't repair, that damage is permanent, basically. You know, it's and that can be brutal. This barracks is finally going to be picked off here. Are we going to have any aggression here from Maru, or is he just going to dial it back and try to wait it out?
We'll see. I feel like we've just done a full role reversal, though, because Kira's already thrown down the 3rd CC. Back at home, he's got 1 Cyclone, 1 Siege Tank, and 1 Viking. So it's a mech army for now. We'll see if he decides to throw down more barracks. I'm sure that he'll be using those to build add-ons in the short term, but long term, I would not be surprised to see him pivot back into a bio composition, as it would be wild to have more mech come in.
Yeah, let's see what he's got in store for us here. Oh, just sending an empty medevac out.
It's like a hallucinated oracle. It's just like, scare you.
Yeah, just a hallucinated phoenix. I'm not sure what the plan is with this.
Well, maybe I'm trying to think about what the plan might be, and if it doesn't die, it's cheaper than a scan. So maybe he's trying just to like move in there, take a little bit of full damage, and see if there's an orbital or something.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, a lot of times we see that orbital's over on the side, but kind of a weird move. Or maybe he thought it was full for a second and it wasn't. I'm not totally sure.
Yeah, because if he was trying to pretend like it was aggression, I would imagine.
Maybe trying to fake a drop or something. Like, oh, look at me, I've got, you know, a Cyclone in here and I'm going to try to harass you.
I think that's actually it, because now looking at the mini-map, we haven't gotten a shot of it on screen, but I believe Maru actually has a 3rd command center and is going to eBay. So he's just trying to feign like he has the units to go for the aggression earlier than you should.
Yeah, maybe he'll keep that command center in his main a little bit longer when in fact he has no intention of attacking.
Yeah, it makes sense. We're so good. We're so good. We get to figure all this stuff
it's like
out.
Sherlock over here, man. Like, suddenly the game slows down, and
Every Terran player watching at home is just face palming that guy. This is 101.
They've already muted us. Is what's happened. Like they have no idea what we're saying anymore. They're like, "Whew, that's better." So Stim is coming along now for Cure, and I mean Maru, you know, in pretty good shape. It was kind of an explosive start, but things have slowed down a little bit in what can occasionally be a little bit of a dry early to mid game.
Yeah, and as things are shaping up, it seems like Maru's going to have about a 15 or 20 second lead in his infantry weapons overall, and both players throwing down more barracks. I was wondering if we might see something a little bit more mech-heavy coming out of Cure just because of how much idle time he had on the barracks, using them to build add-ons and just mostly focusing on the siege tanks of the Vikings and the Cyclones, but he is going into bio. He's got a couple barracks out already, adding 2 more now, +1 infantry weapons as well, of course. And now I think the real aggression is going to start coming out here from Maru.
Yeah. He's going to start to roam with these medevacs. He's going to look for any openings. We do have the Ravens lagging behind just slightly these medevacs.
Yeah, they're not as quick.
Yeah, can you imagine if Ravens had boost, though?
Don't give them any
Auto
ideas.
turret comes in and just runs right back out.
I think there is potential for this to get a good bit of damage done, and man, just barely skirting around.
Yeah, man, hug those corners if
the
you're checking.
turret also only just now starting, so Cure's going to
gosh.
stim and try and stop this, but we're going to have turrets dropped immediately here.
He can
3
get the
already.
upgrades. Dude,
He is going to get the upgrades. Look at that.
Can he get the other one?
I would be surprised with the siege tanks here, but I think you just take the win right there. I mean, you lost like, what, 3 Marines, some Raven energy. It was like 3 or 4 turrets at most. And you stop +1 armor.
Yeah, and I mean, to be honest with you, having the armor upgrade delayed that much, I mean, that is huge.
It's a really big deal.
Especially in infantry versus infantry.
Yeah, it's going to matter a lot in the Marine versus Marine fights. Now, if you're trying to go and break a position where there's a lot of siege tanks that are garrisoned without support, I mean, it's not too much of an issue having that -1 armor, but in all other cases, it's an issue. So Maru going to be compounding that upgrade advantage that he already had now by taking out the engineering bay. I mean, +1 armor just so far behind here for Cure. And here come the sieges. Sable comes in. I think for a second Cure actually might have thought that the siege tank was in range. And the shoe's on the other foot.
Yeah. Nice trade. I guess he gets the sensor tower there as well. I don't think Maru's going to stick to this, though. He's pretty good at like taking what he can and then just packing it up and trying to reconfigure.
Yeah,
he's very good at sharking around in the middle of the map with Marine tank and kind of keeping the other player at least relocating tanks and repositioning. And every time he does this, he takes the 4th base.
He does it very well.
He takes the 4th base, usually on location. I think we're seeing that develop here on the mini map at 6 o'clock, and kind of keeps the other player just, you know, trying to figure out what's going on.
Yep. Another command center coming down here for Cure as he's starting to power up a little bit back at home. These tanks will siege. Maru does have a scan on that, and uh-oh. A little bit of a bad split off there. Medvac's going to have to scurry away into the corner. Most of these Marines will be able to get away, and with a lot of back and forth, it's still a very even game, all things considered. Maru a little bit ahead in workers, Cure a little bit ahead in army. I think the main story for me right now is the upgrade advantage here for Maru might set up for a killer timing once 2-2 is done.
You know, Cure, if he didn't have that, if he did have the armor upgrade is the word I'm trying to find, I think he could do a lot. Maru is now on 5 bases to Cure's 3. So like,
oh, that's right.
Positionally, Cure might be able to do a lot here because this is a pretty wide spread, but like, this is looking really bad long term here.
This CC should get canceled. Immediately does.
So now, you know, basically, well, hold on, Cure's actually maxed out. Maybe he can make this work. I'm not sure.
Yeah, Maru dipping a little bit in supply right here as Cure's going to try and find an opening, but Maru a little bit too wise for that. Does retreat back to the 3rd base and is able to defend it, and now Cure with the rest of his army trying to pivot towards that top 4th base here for Maru. And down here, it's a little bit concerning for Cure. He only has a handful of Marines there to support these siege tanks, and keep in mind that Maru has two very high energy Ravens, so disables are in the cards here, and that's probably why Kira is starting to pull away from this position, is there just isn't enough infantry on the ground to actually support those siege tanks, and now we see Kira expanding to a 5th base, continuing to move around the map.
Well, I think that Maru is just going to slip right out with this small group. You know, 4 is usually the number in medevacs when you start to get serious about the drops. There's a lot on the map here for Cure that's kind of out.
Yeah, and Cure's bringing everything back to deal with this small drop. I think he just doesn't really have a path forward for attacks just yet. Right, so he's just going to come back home, deal with this, does lose 10 SCVs, but kills, what, 3, soon to be 4 medevacs, a lot of Marines in total. It's a nice military win for him.
Yeah, I mean, he's still killing a lot of SCVs. It's been 14 SCVs killed so far. That's actually quite a bit.
It's actually so funny. Maru focuses down the reactor on the starport, and Curtis immediately lifts it and trades places with the reaction barracks.
Yeah.
Just instantaneously.
Those reactors, I mean, they take a long time to make. It's actually a really good building to target when you get in there.
So in total, 17 workers did go down for Cure, but he's still close to max. So his army is actually massive. 132 army supply to the 101 for Maru, but Maru very entrenched here by the triangle third and his 6 o'clock base. It will be a hard position here for Cure to breach, especially with the disables that Maru has in the bag, but let's see Tasteless.
Okay, he's actually eating so much damage from the siege tanks. Maru shying away from the position itself. Not bad for Cure. Maybe a necessary trade out there.
Yeah, but he didn't get the base, and that army supply, he still retains an advantage, but it's not as... it doesn't feel as insurmountable as it did a moment ago, where Cure's army was just really absolutely pumping there. And losing this much bio, especially against Maru, who really likes to favor Ravens and has been able to retain those 2 high-energy Ravens throughout basically this entire game, can lead to scary situations where siege tanks get disabled and then a massive swarm of Marines come down and just clean everything up. But for now, Maru, his Marine count, it's relatively under control. I think it's down to something like 35 or 40. Most of his army supply right now, it's in air units, it's in Vikings, it's in Ravens. There's some Liberators now on the field and 13 siege tanks.
I'm getting worried, man. I think Cure is kind of starting to win in a long game of tank, infantry, Liberator, Viking versus each other. He seems to be he has 2 big army positions and he's ready at any moment to strike, where he feels that Maru is going to be weaker on one side. And whenever you see this kind of setup from Cure, he's going to also be able to take another base as soon as he has the moment to give his attention to that.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but at the same time, I feel like this is kind of Maru's comfort zone. If it was a lesser Terran player, then certainly I would feel much more comfortable with Cure just consuming the map, taking map control like this, and expanding all across, the top side and the bottom side. But Maru, his defense has just been so impeccable, and keep in mind, he was a lot faster with his Stargate transition. So here you see him just continuously try to breach positions like this. Disables come through on these forward siege tanks. That's going to allow Maru to move all the way up. These siege tanks are dead in the water. And I feel like Maru is just kind of building this ultimate army. And I think this might be basically all of his Marines here coming in for a counterattack.
I think you're probably right. He's going to go right onto these SCVs and then target the command center.
Get +3 armor again.
Yeah.
Why not?
You get +3 armor, 1 more. Yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, there it is. That gets denied. And now Maru's ready to move out.
Yeah, so the supply is still favoring Cure, but the economy here for Maru, it is solid. And unless there's some missteps, I mean, even with all these Marines stemming forward, he's going to be able to shave off a couple of these siege tanks, but not too many going down, and the siege tank count's still very healthy here for Maru. Keep in mind that he has had his starports up, these extra starports, much earlier than Cure, so the Raven count is higher. The Viking count is higher. He has 2 Liberators to none there for Cure, and as we saw in the previous game, usually it is that Sky Terran that is going to reign supreme should we go to a split map scenario, and the way this one is going, it kind of feels like we are starting to tread down that path. So I'm wondering now whether Cure is going to be able to find an opening at any of these ulterior bases here for Maru, or if Maru's defense is just going to get tighter and tighter, and he's going to reign supreme in the sky and eventually be able to eke out a win that way because it worked for him in the previous map.
Yeah, it really did. He's going to stim and run by with these few Marines. Notice he's not even making medevacs here. It's like, just send the Marines out. They're Zerglings. That's what they are.
They
These
really
are
are.
Zerglings. Just get what you can find. Medevac, good. When they slow down, stim them again and keep running.
There really is that kind of situation here. It's funny to think about it like that. Like sensor towers, sure, yeah, trade these for gas units. This is the stage in the game where gas is starting to become a more contested commodity for all these Terran players because the units they want to make. Oh, we have battle cruisers actually coming out for Maru. This is so cool.
That's very interesting.
Really going into the supreme Sky Terran here.
This is so funny. This game and the last game have started to kind of go into these weird directions. They look like old StarCraft 1 TVTs. Not even really modern StarCraft 1 TVTs, by the way. Like we had a lot, you know, split map with tanks and kind of a hard no man's land drawn across the map. And then battlecruiser tech, which is what you oftentimes get at the very, very end of tech in StarCraft 1.
And Kier behind all of this. He's not even maxed yet. He's behind on workers. Maru, with his max, he's making battlecruisers, which are one of the most expensive units in the game, if not the most expensive, besides like the mothership, right?
Right.
On top of that, he's also throwing down a ton of additional command centers. Some of those might be planetaries. I guarantee you a lot of those will also be orbital commands. So soon, Maru's going to get into the position where he's going to be able to operate on a little bit of a less supply-intensive economy with mules. And once SCVs start getting shaved off and he's able to fully invest in even more Sky Terran, my question becomes, how is Kier possibly going to be able to handle that? Because with this number of Ravens, I mean, armor shredding is just a guarantee on the Vikings here for Kier. There's basically no way he's going to dodge it. And battlecruisers, they attack so fast.
Yeah, they
coupled
really
with
do.
turrets, coupled with the Vikings that Maru also has on the field. I'm very concerned for Kier's position here in terms of the way the Sky armies are shaping out. I don't know if he realizes quite how dire the position is starting to turn into, because, I mean, this is just an overwhelming Sky Force here for Maru. And
by the way, he's sending his own SCVs in here to basically let them get killed off so he can free up his supply.
So 13 SCVs will get traded out as those orbital commands complete, excuse me. And now we have Maru just moving across the map with these battle cruisers, and they walked a long way around, so once danger enters, they will just be able to teleport away. And this hurts here for Kier. He's only at 54 workers. Oh my goodness, Yamato on the planetary fortress, barely not able to take it out.
Oh, I think
there might be enough DPS.
Yeah, I think he can actually get it if he just focuses it down. He does.
Oh my
Goodbye.
goodness, Maru just so good. You know, teleporting back, almost full HP, barely even need to repair those things. And now Kier, I mean, he's such a high tank count, but the tanks are obsolete.
He has got this crazy composition. He could probably roam and find another base and take it out as well. I think Kier's going to have to try to take a fight. Is he going to have enough to actually do that, though?
I don't know, man.
Because Maru basically has something set up where he can systematically move out, kill a base, get back, and pretty much do it unscathed.
Kier has a handful more Vikings, but the Raven count and the battlecruiser count obviously supporting Maru here makes me think that Zerglings.
Zerglings, man. He's just going to send his small group of Marines and just
he's even got a flying queen.
Kamikaze it in there, and
got a little flying queen to transfuse these Zerglings too. So funny.
All right, he's going to just go for this tank now.
This also has to be so annoying for Kier because, yes, it is only 3 Marines in a medevac, but you still actually have to deal with it.
You have to send stuff back, and it can't be just like your own 3 Marines in a medevac. It has to be like enough that like you can basically just wipe it out.
Yeah, like what are you gonna do? Like patrol Vikings back at home to deny the three Marines in a medevac? It's such an awkward situation, and it's times like this I wish we could see the army supply split between land army and air army, because I feel like, I mean, for Maru, just the air superiority, it is unbelievable here. And even this turret doing work, I'm surprised the tanks are taking so long to take it out. Maru just on another level right now, it feels like, in these late games.
All right, armor shreds are going to come down, and they go down first, connecting on top of Kier's army. So now he can just come in here and destroy all these tanks. I mean, this is insane.
Dude, if I was Maru, I would just teleport my battle cruisers on top of those Vikings.
Oh,
man.
yeah.
I mean,
He might still do that.
Yeah, he might. These
mean-
Vikings, they have to land. Here we go.
There it is.
Coming in are the battle cruisers. The Vikings on land trying to run away, doing the little waddle, but they cannot get away. Now you have Matos also coming in.
Oh my
and
God,
Maru
GG, what an ending.
flexing his late game TBT muscles.
What?
As I gotta say, Taze, this has been one of the best TBT finals I think I have ever seen here at GSL. It's right up there with Maru versus TY. I mean, this has been so much fun.
I feel like this might even be better, honestly. Like, the way that some of these games are ending is insane. Oh
Wow.
my God.
What a great game there from Maru. Really, the last two matches just playing to perfection, and you can see the grin on his face, man. That is his comfort zone. That is where he thrives, is these extreme late game scenarios. And you can just tell, I mean, that's 2 games in a row where he did this against his opponent, and he just did it so much better.
Well, that was like late game TBT, like we just didn't even know how deep the rabbit hole of the matchup goes.
Yeah, pretty much.
And you can see Kier's like, what? Like, what is happening right now?
Yep.
He's just not going to attack me, and he's just going to keep making Vikings. Then eventually he has battle cruisers. He can harass with that and then escape back out. And then eventually it's like, you can see, especially with tanks, right? Like, it's not like Marines you could just stim and run in, or SCVs where you just send them out and get rid of them. It's like, okay, well, let me try to do something with these tanks, and everything falls apart.
Yeah, Maru just with a perfect spread on defense there was unbreakable, and this is something that we didn't really see throughout this GSL at all, unless I'm mistaken. This extreme late game TBT gameplay.
We've had a lot of what I called late game TBT, which was, you know, before battle cruisers came into play. I mean, I've casted all this many times before, but the BC play is very interesting. It also shows that Maru has an approach to an extremely long game where he knows how to kind of like halt the back and forth. And he has 2 different solutions. One was where he actually just kind of pushed out with the turrets. This is probably mostly map dependent. And then kind of just carves out the map, gets enough liberators, gets the right number of tanks, and just sort of makes it so that you're just not going to have enough bases long term, and it's too costly to try to push out. And then we had this like mass battlecruiser style, which is just, it's fresh to me. I'm not used to it.
That's fresh to me too, man. TBT is one of those matchups that I feel like I'm learning every single time that I watch it, every single time that I cast it, and of all days today.
This is what we were talking about beforehand, is like, we're going to have a deep dive of TBT. We're going to really figure out who's the best at the matchup, what are the strongest ideas at play. I mean, we've had this kind of double racks, then proxy, factory, starport play, these unusual pushes. We've seen just straight up Reaper Rush, kind of like a little bit cheesy play. We've had Maru showing some of the craziest late game. We've had Cure showing some of the most robust mid game. We're really getting a taste of everything. Maru's now in the lead. It's 3-2. Either Cure can tie this up 3-3. That would be the dream. Or Maru is about to win his his 6th GSL. I was going to say his 4th map win.
Only one map away, man. Could be the G6L, the 6SL, however you want to phrase it, the champion.
A fitting map name here, Royal Blood, as we see what Cure has in store, his tournament life on the line. He's made it this far, but he's against the best in the business. Maru ready to make history one more time. Let's find out if it happens. This is game 6.
Club NV, Cure. Onside Gaming, Maru.
So just to talk for a second about everything that we've really seen here. Look, we've definitely had some proxies. We've definitely, like we're having in this game, we've definitely had some pretty epic mid games. But what's been fascinating to me is that Maru has had more success with aggression and less success in mid game into kind of a normal late game. It's actually kind of weird, right? I think normally we would expect a different, something different to happen. Cure seems to be better at kind of having tanks and Marines and controlling the map and doing that back and forth. And so what Maru's showing us is just a more extended version of the matchup where he can drag it out and then bring a new tech and win that way. And that's very cool to see, is that Cure might have a better mastery. Like, he beat Maru on it with a 2-base push. He has not really died to a lot. You know, you look at the way that Bunny died and then compare that to Maru. It's crazy. Cure has a much better handle on that in the matchup. But Maru really is showing some of the most insane late game in any matchup I've ever seen.
Yeah, Maru's just playing out of his mind right now, giving us a taste of everything. And even the mind games here in game number 6 on match point, throwing down the SCV, the timing. He would be building a low ground command center, trying to feign that he's not going for this 2-Rax proxy again. And this is the same build that we saw Byun do earlier in his best of 5 of the semifinals against Cure of all people. It's what we're seeing Maru do now. This proxy barracks, the proxy factory, 2 Reapers now coming up the ramp. Cure a little bit unprepared for this, takes a lot of damage there on that Marine. Not as many SCVs pulled, and okay, this time the SCV comes back, is going to be able to delay the factory.
That's very important. This factory, not only, you know, every factory that comes out of that's delayed, but the starport itself is delayed.
And I also want to dial this back a little bit, because we've seen this build a couple of times now with the factory and without the factory. And oftentimes the way this one ends up going is, yes, there is aggression, they trade. One player, usually the defender, is going to lose a healthy number of SCVs, maybe 5, maybe 6, sometimes more. But generally speaking, everybody so far today has been pretty good at navigating themselves out of this position into a longer macro game with one player having a slight edge. So there is an avenue towards normalizing, and if I'm not mistaken...
Dude, I think he's completely pulling out of the build.
Yeah, Maru is just... I mean, we were talking about mind games.
This is so cool. So Cure's overreacting and making a bunker.
There is no command center.
And exactly, and with Maru expanding, basically Cure is bracing for impact. He's now, that doesn't mean that, like, for instance, this rush is going to come in. That's one thing, right? But it's totally different from the siege tank push that we saw Maru do earlier. And so, luckily for Cure, he is going to send these 2 Hellions across the map. We'll see if he actually gets any damage done. Oh, I'm sorry. He is going to make the tank, but not push with it. He's going to make the tank and send it all the way back to home. Again, very weird build, but he's actually forced Cure to overreact.
Yeah, and the Cure's command center starts when Maru's orbital command starts. So a full CC ahead is Maru. A lot of these units, though, they are on this side of the map here. So these 2 Hellions, only a handful of Marines in position to defend. SCVs will fall. The question is how many?
Oh, that one Hellion gets kind of stuck on the other SCVs. We've got 3 kills so far. If he can get a 4th, these Hellions have at least paid for themselves. He does manage to get that. You're going to see this Hellion come down towards the natural, and Cure's going to realize he's in a very different game than what he was preparing for, as he sees that already Maru's going to drink up the resources from the second base, and I think Cure, in a moment of panic, is basically leaving his base saying, oh God, can I attack you at least? Can I get any value out of this situation? And that's what we're waiting to see for.
Cure's going to see if he can try and find some damage. 4 Reapers kiting Marines in the middle of the map, taking a little bit of damage there. Landed Vikings are able to kill one of them as grenades also pop. There's 2 siege tanks. So Maru back at home, he does have that Raven. He has the siege tank positioned at his natural expansion as well.
Not Ravens, the Reapers are going to try to come in here and kill SCVs. And I mean, I don't think that really Cure had accounted for this.
He is going to be able to have some rallies. The siege tank just popping and 2 Marines right behind it, but I'm wondering whether Maru is going to be able to break out of this very easily, because with the 2 Vikings here, it's tough.
Well, he's going to commit. I guess he's just barely not in range. And so Maru has to be very quick to move that tank. The tank is basically the thing that's keeping everything together. He's going to pull out just in time before the first Liberator shot can hit.
That's going to allow Cure to move up an inch closer, and now he's in shelling distance of the command center, and Maru once again sending the Raven around. He might try to get a wraparound behind this, getting a couple more SCV kills back in the actual expansion there for Cure. It looks like he might be gunning to drop.
Wait.
Or he's going to come from the side.
He's going to flank it.
Yeah, I was wondering whether he was going to drop on the tanks or if he was going to come from the side. It looks like it will be the side play, as Maru now getting in position. Raven with a
He's
hefty
gonna
number
be
of
in
energy.
range. What am I watching? I don't know that he can. I think that actually Kier might just be able to take this.
It's possible. SCV's now coming in, trying to make their way into the main
Oh.
base.
11 kills. 11 kills there.
Yeah,
He's gonna go
Maru's
for the counter.
just gonna have to go for the counter attack right
I
now.
don't think this. I think Kier might have just taken this. But hold on. He could. No, he could disable the tanks. Hold on a second. I'm jumping the gun myself here. He's going to scan.
There's another tank in the main base. A lot of reinforcements here. Okay, Stim is done. Stim's going to come in. Orbital gets lifted now. Tank gets immediately focus fire down. And that siege tank there in the main base, it repositions into a more defensive position.
Oh, hold on a second. I think Kier has enough Marines to just kind of wipe this out. It's actually even in workers. So that was 17 SCVs killed, 23 to 22.
Wow.
Very, very tense game here.
Yeah, I think I still have to give the advantage to Kier right now. I mean, he's just continuously getting closer and closer to breaching this position, and the Viking count just continues to grow. And also, look at the positioning here of the orbital commands. The siege tanks, they're going to pop out on the left side.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, the thing that Kier has going from, he actually has a push that has momentum.
I don't see a way that Maru is going to be able to stop this. 3 siege tanks. He's going to stem forward now, coming in with the medevacs from the backside as he does get the full surround.
He gets the last, no, he does not get that, finally gets the last tank.
Wow, okay, I guess that's how you do it then for Maru as the reinforcements come back home and clean this up. And
this is a crazy game, by the way. I'm on the edge of my seat. I can't believe how intense this is.
Yeah, this is wild. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's going to be almost even army supplies. Kier up 4 workers overall.
The Stim's not done for Kier. He invested all that tech, and at this point in time, I mean, maybe he could even, Maru could push into the main?
I think from here we just normalize, honestly. I think we might be going into another macro game.
But yeah, maybe you're right. I guess, you know, he just barely has enough tanks. Well, hold on. This is such a tough cast, by the way. This is such a crazy game. With the Marines out of the base, maybe he can also just run in.
There's no Raven, though. He can't disable any of the siege tanks. And with Kier set up back at home with 3 tanks in siege mode, and you got to know that he's going to be covering every possible angle. There's only so many sides that Maru can try and come from, and maybe he'll see if he can find one. Love him baiting away the Viking here for just a moment. And behind all of this, Maru going to engineering bay, adding in a 3rd command center, and now Kier coming in with the drop in the main base of Maru.
Okay, you know, you take what you can get. He gets rid of one. Oh my God, there's a blind spot here. This tank's gonna go down. This is a lot of damage that Kier can deal over here.
The
Maru
Marines
already down over here in workers.
Yeah, the Marines had to go all the way around that Sim City too. There's no gap in between those structures, so had to take the long way around to try and support that tank, and that's going to be even more Marines escaping here. Maru just a little bit too slow to catch those medevacs on the route back home, and now a 3rd command center coming down for Kier. I think we've reached a point where we are stabilizing. I would say that Kier probably has a slight lead, but keep in mind, upgrade advantage, I think right now in favor of Maru. I believe it's just 1 engineering bay here for Kier.
Yeah, I think he's been in a bit of a difficult spot. Trying to play this out. I mean, he had a moment where it looked like he was about to end the game, and that was a lot of what everything he was doing was sort of hinged on, where Maru was playing a little bit more kind of middle of the road. We have drops on both sides inbound. What are these 2 red dots here in the middle of the map?
I think those are add-ons.
Oh, okay. Or maybe one's the depot.
One's the depot. I think it's the tech lab on the factory and a depot, if I'm not mistaken.
It looks like a vampire bit the middle of the map or something.
Yeah, it does
I wonder
look
what
like
that was. Yeah, you're right, though. It's just that +1 attack upgrade here for Kier. I mean, if you don't get armor, it's hard to be competitive in a long game. And I think it's possible. Well, Kier's going to just be expanding a little bit later here as well. The orbital's already done.
Yeah, Maru in a nice defensive position back at home, and we have seen time and time again Maru leverage this upgrade advantage into highly favorable trades throughout the mid-game. We'll see if he's able to do the same thing now as Armory is going down for Kier. There's no way that he thinks he's on 2 engineering bays right now, right? I'm surprised. Okay, now just adding the 2nd engineering base. So just, it was a choice to opt for +1 infantry weapons before anything else. He'll be going for +2 and +1 once that engineering bay completes. So he will be 1 upgrade behind Maru for the foreseeable future. And the way things are shaping up now, I really do think we're getting back into that position where it's going to be difficult for either player to really break, especially with no Ravens on the field right now. We don't have that same kind of position-breaking play available to either player.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think this game just normalizes. Cure, as far as math is concerned, is just ahead in every metric, but the upgrades are going to be better long-term for Maru, which, you know, with how good these guys are at control, it may matter the most. So the third CC is landed over here. Development is pretty even.
Even resources lost is relatively even. Cure just a little bit more resources gathered in total.
Sensor towers come up almost at the exact same time.
And Maru looks like he's already pumping out a lot of Vikings. He has 5 on the field right now already. Excuse me, as 2 more entering the fray here for Cure. And I wonder whether we're going to see a second starport sooner rather than later. Okay, Cure, so instead of adding a second starport, he's going to be going for another factory, so wants to play a little bit more siege tank heavy with his style. Perhaps as a response to how good Maru's late game has been, if you get a significant enough siege tank lead, sometimes you truly can just bust down a single position, right?
It is true. This is kind of a weird moment. He had just killed the command center. I mean, I guess he got it. So I feel like I never see Maru make targeting decisions like that.
Yeah, it was an interesting play. It was also funny that, like, Cure had pretty much every single siege tank right there on the command
he's like,
center.
what? You can't possibly.
Oh, he's going to get the full medevac. Oh, he's not!
Oh,
just
psych.
Barely escaping. With a game as even as this one is right now, I mean, those are the kind of plays that can really change the dynamic of a game.
No, I mean, that's a really scary moment if they, well.
He is going to get it.
I can't believe he didn't just go straight up to the top.
Yeah, I'm surprised got every single medevac, in fact. So that's like 25 supply going down there for Maru.
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge drop in supply. It's not the end of the world, but it is pretty bad.
Yeah, I think that's more than anything else, that basically kind of forces Maru into a position where now he has to play defense. He can't really be roaming around the map as much, at least not for the next couple of minutes, unless Cure comes in with some really unfavorable trade, because losing that many units in kind of one fell swoop for really no.
It wasn't a trade.
Trade-off.
I mean, it just got killed.
He canceled a command center. It was a third of the way done, and then all the medevacs died halfway across the map. And now Cure's going to try and lay siege down on this position. Viking counts tied 9-9. Siege King counts 10-10. Cure with the lead in Marines, though, doubling the count right now of Maru. So a little bit more flexibility here for his army. And it's actually Cure that's adding in the Ravens first. Liberators being added now for Maru. And the way that I'm seeing Cure play this with, you know, adding in Ravens, going for Liberators a little bit faster than before, going for second factory siege tanks, makes me think that he really does want to try and play for a position where he can just lay down siege, disable some siege tanks from his opponent, and potentially deny a base. But Maru, he's already gearing up for the late game. 2 more starports in production.
Yeah, he's basically trying to counter the tech that Cure wants to get to end the game. So Maru's going to be on the defense for a little bit longer, actually probably a lot of bit longer. Yeah, Cure seems to want to play a very conventional TVT at the highest level in the late game against the greatest Terran of all time. He wants to get just enough siege tanks with just enough Vikings and Liberators with the right number of Ravens to kind of systematically break open positions, deny command centers, back up, reconfigure, do it again. And it seems like what Maru wants to do, and I don't know if we're going to have the battle cruisers or not, I really can't call that right now, but is kind of preempt that tech itself and win the air fight, and then therefore mute the ground presence.
Sensor tower gets taken out here by Cure as he's just trying to poke and prod a little bit and get an idea of where Maru's at, and this is now going to be a point of contention here. This 5th base here for Maru, armor shredding turret coming down on the Vikings here. This time in Cure's favor is Maru taking a bad trade. We'll have to lift that command center with this many Vikings and might get taken out.
I mean, this is a pretty humiliating defeat here for Maru. I think almost half-heartedly even tried to set up to fight it. This is exactly the fight that Kure was looking for, and Maru stepped right out and gave it to him.
You know, what I want to say right now is I bet if we hit the player colors, if we hit their names, and you came into this Game 6, having watched the previous 2 games, you would think that right now Kure is Maru, and Maru is Kure. It's been a role reversal in the way that they're navigating their unit compositions. This time it's Kure that's faster with the Liberators. He's faster adding in the Ravens. Maru lagging behind just a bit, and right now it's painful for him. He lost his 5th base because of that. He has to rebuild that command center on the low ground outside the natural. And this soft contain, although it's not covering a lot of ground here for Maru, because Kure just has map control right now, it is very hard for Maru to actually maneuver and take either that base at the top left or the center right.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, Kure, it's like in line with what we were talking about earlier. Like, he's almost better at this part of the game than Maru is. But Maru is gonna try to just, you know, power up with his starports here and try to bring this tech into a very different type of late game.
More starports being added for Kure now as well, as both Terran players just slowly pivoting into Sky Toss. And now that Kure is maxed, adding in 4 additional command centers, getting planetary fortresses up as well, just really filling out his tech tree. As these Marines will get caught, but this is again kind of a similar story to what we've seen in the previous 2 games, where yes, we are starting with 3-3 bio, but we are going to end up with mech.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, these Marines are basically like Zerglings for now. He actually wants to get rid of him. He'll eventually get rid of his SCVs too, by the way. 83 SCVs is great when you're going to get all the other upgrades and starports and everything, but eventually you need to just rely on mules for an income and use the SCVs. They're just like gas miners, basically.
Yeah, and look at Kure now setting up with turrets and sensor towers in the middle of the map, just the same way that Maru did a couple of maps ago. I love this play from him. Maru seems like, it seemed like he might have had a read that Kure was going to be going for a drop here, but instead does not actually catch wind of this.
Well, I mean, he's going to try to come over here. I think he's a bit surprised to see that there's a small ambush of infantry units that are just going to gun that all down.
And it's kind of a tough infantry force to dislodge here for Maru. He has to slowly creep his way forward with these siege tanks because his Marine count is actually just so low, and we'll eventually be able to clean that up. But I would love to see the production tab right now, because I think that, okay, no battle cruisers in production just yet. We're just continuing to play Sky Toss with Vikings, with Ravens, with a handful of Liberators.
I would imagine there's a moment when that's going to be triggered here. He throws down some auto turrets, I believe, under there. Well, hold on a second. Is Kure actually losing this fight?
I think it's quite
It's pretty even. And then the Liberators are going to come in here. No, I think he's actually, Maru's going to win this fight. Sorry, it's a little bit hard to call.
Yeah, it's hard
to
with
an unusual.
The color schemes and then also the Liberator siege kind of obscuring the vision there. It's difficult, but Maru getting the better end of that trade.
Well, he's doing the thing that he did before that won the game for him. He has reached out and grabbed another base. Note that Kure has spent all of his savings, which is like what he needs to do, but the point is he doesn't have this massive mineral gas cushion. Maru, of course, has done the same, but Maru is I guess you could say, teched above Kure.
And Maru is getting air superiority again. Kure is pumping out Vikings 6 at a time to try and close the distance.
And it's the funniest thing. It's like, you know, it's a game where Kure surrounds him and then nothing happens for a while, and then Maru suddenly comes out and is making big advances on the map. He's going to take another base right away after this. I don't know what's to say that Maru can't come out a little bit further and then push one of Kure's bases out of position.
It's almost bewildering that Maru has been able to rebound from what was a not very good middle game position into what is slowly turning into basically even ground. Now that big flood of Vikings that Kure made just a moment ago now coming to fruition here, we'll be able to snipe that command center and get a handful of Ravens as well.
So here's what I'm talking about. He doesn't want these SCVs. It's so strange. These are all very, very old, early StarCraft ideas about TVT. And even including getting rid of the SCVs when you get far enough along where it's like, all right, we don't want that many workers.
It's a little difficult to follow exactly what, well, I mean, the game plan if you boil it down to just trying to navigate yourself to a Sky Terran army as best as possible, is quite simple. But the small tactics that both players are continuously employing to try and get there makes it so hard to follow. I mean, just the way that they're navigating the map with these sensor towers, with missile turrets, by setting up these kind of lines of siege tanks and just fortifying these positions. I mean, it's really wild to watch. Like, Maru even doing a mild bio transition here just to break this position because he knows he has enough Ravens he can actually fight through.
He's fluctuating between these different techs depending on what is appropriate to disarm this given situation. And then he's refilling it. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of a lot of what we've seen in these endgame Zerg games, where they like go into a certain army, and then they go into Broodlords, and then that forces, like, you know, the counter to the Broodlords, whether you're against a Zerg or a Terran, and then they counter that. He's kind of doing the Terran version of that, only in a mirror matchup.
It does feel that way, because notice he hasn't really made any Vikings to try and contest the Viking count here for Cure. Instead, he's just been pumping Ravens, and he's been pumping Marines, so he's splitting his minerals and his gas that way. And, you know, if Cure doesn't have a healthy number of siege tanks on the ground, there really is nothing to zone away the Marines from just stimming forward and taking care of these Vikings, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a very intricate dance that they're doing with their unit compositions, and I feel like, I mean, Maru is just so good at this in general. Is a little bit of a, I want to say a misclick there, as I don't think the army was intended to go in that direction. But it's so interesting to watch these army compositions just continue to develop and evolve as the game progresses and see exactly what triggers what transition.
Yeah, I mean, this has been quite a wild ride. Though, I have to say, I think that in the last couple of minutes, Maru has, like, bled off quite a lot of his tanks. Well, hold on a second. He's now going to come in here. He's disabled all the tanks. We have like a 180-degree arc of tanks up here.
Yeah, only 4 siege tanks behind these Vikings, though, and so Maru's going to kite back. And, man, this one Thor has been alive for so long, but it's actually doing an excellent job of zoning out all of these Vikings, all of these Ravens here for Cure. There's this one long-range anti-air unit that you just kind of rely on, and that more Ravens getting taken down now. And look at these disables coming in, Tasteless. Maru is breaching this position with pure Marines. There's nothing that can fight the Marines on the ground. It's just auto turrets, and all these high-tech units for Cure are getting mopped up.
It's like another kind of tech here. It's like just Marine auto turret to force a win there. Now the tanks can move in. Suddenly, Maru is just on top of Cure. Cure seeming to be almost paralyzed to what Maru is teching into here.
It feels like Cure just doesn't have...
And he's got medevacs. He can actually go up into where the infrastructure is if he does this right.
That's true. Even more disables coming in on the siege tanks as Maru just continues to stem forward. And you see Cure knowing that he needs Marines of his own to start to try and counter this, but instead it's Maru that just continues to push up. Another orbital commands falls. These siege tanks will eventually get cleaned up here by Cure with that siege tank in the natural expansion, but overall, a very cost-efficient trade for Maru.
I feel like these Vikings should have landed a long time ago. I think he's like suddenly Cure remembered that he could do that.
Yeah, the one concerning thing there for Maru is, although the first engagement went very well, the follow-up was not quite as spectacular. A lot of the Ravens died. The I keep saying Sky Toss because I'm so used to talking about Sky Toss. The Sky Terran here in TVT. The Sky Terran effectively was reset there for Maru, and Cure has a much bigger gas bank, and he's now going into battle cruisers. And behind all this,
wild, man.
Look at the map as well. Cure's been expanding despite all of this aggression. So his economy also firing on all cylinders here, but neither player able to reach a maxed army.
That's right. Cure has an ungodly amount of gas. I mean, that is a very important factor here. Now, I know that we're saying that as Marines are being made, but, you know, obviously controlling the tank or battlecruiser or Raven or whatever else count, that's very big. Maru, you know, for instance, the top left, as well as the central base, needs to start probably taking the gases over there and soaking that up. They're both getting closer to maxing out here.
Every single base on the map is taken now at this point. Cure does have the gold bases, so one small economic advantage for him. Although I say that, this one just immediately gets taken out.
Yeah, well, he's just going to come right through here and just clean this out. And he may continue to be on the move. Let's remember that Kira's actually been mining for more bases for longer.
I would love to see the units lost tab and just get an idea of exactly who has been more cost efficient, and Kira just continuing to mix in battle cruisers. This is one thing that Maru doesn't really have. It feels like it might be Kira's ace in the hole here, as he already has 3 battle cruisers on the field. With that gas, he's also adding in a ton of Ravens. He's getting all of the elite upgrades here for the BCs, plus 3 air weapons, vehicle weapons, Yamato cannons all coming in.
This is pretty brutal here with that battle cruiser.
Yeah, Marines are not really the answer, and Maru, he's transitioned very heavily into them. He's got about 50 Marines in total on the field right now. The siege tank count here for Kira only at 9.
The good news for Maru is that he knows how to kind of throw those Marines in there and use them to do damage and try to make something else happen. I mean, we're still maxed out. There's almost 50 Marines for Maru, where there's 11 here for Kira. So, I mean, Kira practically doesn't even have Marines.
Yeah, I feel like Maru, at this point in the game, should just start trying to eat up bases with his superior mobility. And
I agree.
Build up a bank behind it and try to remax on something that can take on these battle cruisers, because there really isn't much of an answer to them right now. I mean, yeah, maybe you can disable every BC and then like drop auto turrets, but that's not really a long-term solution to killing these things, right? I think we need more Vikings here for Maru, or BCs of his own.
He is going to deny this base up here. These bases for Kira that have gone uninterrupted, I mean, oh, here we go.
He might actually be able to catch these.
Yeah,
no jumps
just
coming in.
them.
Every single one gets disabled. Okay. Armor shredding missile coming in. Auto turrets as well.
That was the one thing that he had going for him, was these battle cruisers. He could even, I think, stack the disables here
again. Yeah, he just did.
Yeah.
Just add on to the cooldown. On the other side of the map, Kira able to disable these siege tanks with no Raven support. And oh, the Ravens are a little bit too far behind. This one might be able to teleport away. Actually, both of them getting back
That's
home.
actually pretty big.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a slip up there for Maru, as he's been, I mean, he's trying to put out all these other fires, right? It's easy for us as observers to look at this one thing, but really Maru's playing at like 500 APM right now, trying to whittle his way through this, but...
Now Maru has been interrupted more on his side of the map, and so he might end up with more minerals in the long term that he can mine from. Kira's going to try to move out here. This is the craziest TVT ever.
Yeah, this is an insane game. I feel we're seeing pretty much every single Terran unit here. As a lot more disables are coming in. That's going to give these Marines some breathing room. Armor shredding missile on the Ravens and the missile turrets there, as the Marines just power through. And look at Kira's supply just dip down to 153. But behind it, these 4 Marines, these hero Marines, taking out a lot of SCVs there for Maru. Are able to pick off 3 as the attack continues. And I don't know exactly what the army is here for Kira, but it's only at 93 supply. So this is a very scary situation now.
He could get up into oh no, I guess he can't get up into the main. I was going to say, if the main is vulnerable, he could probably just run right up there and try to take a fight like that. Well, he might just do that anyways.
So many more disables coming in on not only the BCs, but also the siege tanks there on the low ground, as Maru might be able to get on top of the production, Tasteless, and if he does, I don't know if Kira's gonna have an answer for it.
Is history about to be made? Is Maru about to win his 6th GSL? He is in the main. All of the infrastructure is here.
This might be it, Tasteless. Maru 167 supply on all of the production. Kira trying to mount a counterattack on Maru's side of the map, but it's not gonna work. It's only 4 battle cruisers, and we might have Maru being crowned the 6th GSL champion today.
This is an insane game. I don't think there's any way that Kira can recover. These 4 battle cruisers are just not going to do enough damage. Everything that can make anything that would allow Kira to recover is being destroyed. Kira is going to try to move across the map and do as much damage as he can, but as we see that happen, the Marines are here to answer this as well. The battle cruisers disabled are gunned down, and Kira is processing his loss, as Maru is going to be the GSL champion for the 6th time in a row. GG!
What a moment here for Maru. 6 trophies. No one has, besides Maru, has ever won 5. Cementing his legacy as the greatest GSL player of all time, and arguably the best player of all time.
I wasn't ready for him to win again this quickly. I mean, he just got that G5L. Maru with just such an incredible performance. And I gotta say, Cure, he put up an amazing fight. I mean, this truly was the season of Terrence, but Maru with great rushes and builds, but more importantly, the deepest understanding of the ebb and flow of late game, of end game, of knowing exactly how to bob and weave in your tech so that you come out ahead. 3 different end game settings. One of a hard contain, cutting the map not in half, but really to 2/3 his size and choking him out. Another game where he switched into battlecruiser tech and a surprise move, swept across with harass. And of course the final game with the infantry. Late game switch to the very end after all that. Caster Park says his start and his end is all about Marines. Such an incredible performance. Endless passion for the game. An unprecedented record. 6-time GSL Code S champion. All 4 Terrans came in today looking strong, showing different talents and skills, but ultimately you were the one walking away with the trophy. Wow. You were worried about the runner-up curse. You lift another trophy here. It was one of the toughest finals I've ever casted. But here you are in the end. What do you have to say? Today's final series was so hard. I'm happier than ever. You must have felt a lot of pressure. You've written so many, written history in so many moments in StarCraft. And here you've done it again for GSL. With such a tremendous and formidable record, it really, sorry, what motivated you? Beyond actually helped me a lot today with my prep. Thank you, Beyond. I think I played very well because of your help and advice. Along with last season, it's yet another championship for you. I'm wondering now, are you going to make another championship after this? And also, any words to your fans? Recently, whenever I make it to the finals, I had been losing many times before. So I had some confidence issues, but today I came. I think I've regained that confidence. I'm happy to grab another trophy, and I'm going to keep doing my very best to bring you guys great games. We've got so many fans that have stayed here late into the night at the studio. I think the last train's gone and people are still here. They stayed here to see you become the champion, as well as the foreign fans here. Up until the quarterfinals, obviously, we were all online. So I'm sure many fans were eager to finally be able to come down to the show and see it live. What do you have to say? I'm happy to see all my fans. Thank you, everybody, for coming down. I'm also happy that I showed the performance I wanted to bring here. Okay, we're going to go to the award ceremony. And I'll bet you, with our budget cuts, we don't have a special trophy for him. I think it was just the same one. But something tells me they might make another special trophy now for the, what we call the GS7.
We just gotta start subbing out the S for all these numbers, or it's gonna get crazy, man. G8L, G9L, 10L. How high can it go?
Well, pretty high, I think. If he keeps playing like that. With TVT like that, I would say pretty damn high.
All right, we have our interactive contents director here from Africa TV to give the prize away.
Attention 2023 핫식스 GSL 시즌 1.
So they're going to call the runner-up out. That's Kier, who, by the way, Kier played amazingly. Oh, he's going to be coming out now. Look, I mean, he played like top-tier TVT just from Q1 of 2023, you know? Like that's, but I guess Maru came in here with just such a deeper understanding, and I think Kier can only be proud of himself. I mean, in the most Terran intense GSL, he showed such a deep understanding of the matchup. So congratulations to him. You can't have a great finals like that without a great opponent for Maru to go up against. And for a little bit there, it looked like he was going to take it. Even in that last game, I'm like, is Maru going to be able to figure out, you know, how to get out of this tech wormhole? But he did it.
It takes two to tango.
Yep.
This was one of the best TVT finals I have ever seen here.
It's
GSL.
my favorite TVT finals ever, actually.
I mean, just so superb. The knowledge these guys brought to the table, the skill that they showcased here today, fantastic stuff. You love to see it.
And you know, Maru's now starting to kind of break through. I mean, he already broke a record with the 5th GSL win, right? But now he's getting the 6th. Now we're starting to get to this kind of crazy territory as far as Star League winners go, where it's like, oh, you might just like start picking up more of these. You might be kind of like I don't know. I mean, just like the GOAT, you know, on a level that it's almost impossible to catch up to.
All right, well, I think we're going to be giving Maru that award soon. Ceremony continues on.
And yeah, we're having Caster Park just give his spiel on Maru. Here we go. Come out, Maru. We're going to bring the CEO, co-CEO, excuse me, of Africa TV. And he'll be giving out the first place check. Maru in the front row. How do you feel after watching the finals? Well, firstly, what an incredible night. One of my favorite finals I've ever watched. Not only the finalists, the semifinals, what a bunch of great games tonight. We have so many foreign fans here at the studio. I want to say thank you all so much for coming down. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. We know that it's not been an easy year here for GSL. We've been reduced in size. I know that here in Korea, but also just fans all over the world were very supportive to us. So we want to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We've been very touched by you. So next season GSL will be offline at the studio.
Let's go!
We're back. All matches will be held offline.
Oh, that's news to me, baby. I love that. Oh, I'm so happy.
Win in the end.
I'm so happy.
What great news. So, great. That's just the best news ever.
Wow.
Because of your guys' support. How exciting. And now it's time to give the champion his giant cardboard check.
Let's go.
All right, give it up for Maru.
6th GSL championship, just unbelievable stuff. Another pin.
Another pin. How many more pins can a shirt take? I mean, this is crazy. He is looking like one of those Banana Republic dictators with all the medals on his he got.
Eventually this can get too heavy. You won't be able to game with all those pins on, man.
It's dangerous, man. All right, there it is.
Yeah.
Plus, it's a surprise, plus the crowdfunding.
Really, though, thank you everybody who supported GSL on Patreon from the bottom of our hearts.
Yeah, we
what a brilliant
appreciate
moment.
it. And isn't this great? We're going to be back in the studio. We'll have more information on I assume it's the original studio we're working at it, but there's so many studios now, we want to just make sure. But that's exciting to hear. And yeah, man, stayed excellent. A full season of GSL. You did a great job. It was a treat to cast with you. I know you had some big shoes to fill, but your casting is top tier. You were a blast to work with. And I don't know, just a great mood. What a great a season. A weird season, too.
Yeah.
This weird, like, Terran top heaviness, but it turned out to be really fun as well. And history's been made today. Maru has won a 6th GSL. Oh, my God.
Yeah, I mean, coming into the semifinals today, I was thinking, okay, it's maybe not going to be the best. It's, 3 TVTs in a row, but wow, like the games really delivered. That's one of the best GSL finals I've seen in a very long time, and Maru getting his 6th win. And now that we're going back offline, I'm glad that we had like a minute before we were back on camera because I was grinning like a fool.
GSL Season 2 is back on
July 4th,
July
Tuesday.
4th. The day America became free. Of course.
For the
foreigners. For the American casters, of course. Of course it comes back like that. 6:30 p.m. I was just confirmed it is in the Freak Up studio. That's the one at Samsung Station. If you've been attending GSLs for a long time, it's the same one that we've been in before. There is a surprise video at the end after the credits, so do not turn off the show. But we're going to go. We love you. We'll see you in Season 2. Bye-bye.
이번 시즌 GSL 온라인도 되고 좀 많이 바뀌었었는데
하는 선수 입장에서도 재밌었고 보는 팬분들 입장에서도 색다르셨을 것 같아요.
이번 시즌 마음 편하게 대회를 치렀던 것 같고
GSL은 저한테 오랜 동지 같은 느낌의 대회라서 참여할 수 있게 되어서 정말 기뻤습니다.
이번 시즌 GSL 하면서 오랜만에 GSL 하는 거라 너무 좋았고
제가 전역 후에 GSL에서 좀 좋은 모습을 보여드리지 못해가지고 굉장히 아쉬웠었는데 또 이번 시즌에는 좀 많이 보여드린 것 같아서 굉장히 뿌듯하고요.
이번 시즌도 가슴 뛰는 경기 할 수 있어서 영광이었고
선수로서 이렇게 대회가 어쩔 수 없이 축소되는 게 굉장히 아쉬웠는데 또 이런 아쉬운 부분들을 팬분들의 후원으로 채워주셔가지고 정말 너무 감사드리고
응원해주시는 많은 팬분들 너무 감사드리고 후원해주시는 팬분들도 너무 감사드립니다.
많은 분들이 후원해 주셔가지고 정말 감사하게 생각하고
해외 팬분들이나 국내 팬분들께서도 도네이션 이렇게 많이 해주셔가지고 선수들도 더 의욕이 생길 것 같아요. 그래서 되게 감사드리고
정말 많은 분들이 힘을 써주셔서 감동을 받은 시즌이 아닌가.
열정을 유지한 채로 경기에 임할 수 있었던 것 같아서 후원해주신 모든 분들께 감사하다고 말씀 전해드리고 싶습니다.
솔직히 열정이 그렇게 크게 많이 처음에는 있지 않았어요. 회차가 거듭될수록 도네이션도 되게 많이 해주시고 스타트도 되게 많이 사랑해주시는 것 같고 하면 할수록 열정이 더 생겨서 할수록 더 열심히 준비한 것 같고
도네이션으로 상금 후원해주신 분들 정말 감사드립니다.
어떻게 하면 팬 여러분들에게 보답을 할 수 있을까라는 생각을 좀 하는데 재밌는 경기, 좋은 경기 할 수 있도록 노력하고 있으니까요. 앞으로도 더 많이 지켜봐 주시고
선수들이 열심히 해서 좋은 경기로 보답해야 된다라고 생각을 하고 저도 다음 시즌에 열심히 준비해서 좋은 경기, 재밌는 경기로 찾아뵙도록 하겠습니다.
많은 관심 가져주시면 감사하겠고
다음 시즌에도 좋은 모습 보여드리도록 노력하겠습니다.
모든 선수들이 다 지금 열심히 하고 있으니까 많이 응원해 주셨으면 좋겠습니다.
다음 시즌에도 이렇게 많이 후원해 주시면 사토 선수를 계속 열정 있게 할 수 있을 것 같아요. 감사합니다.
네, 인사봐. 바이바이.